The Hazari invasion fleet materializes in Earth's solar system, its massive ships blotting out the stars. Queen Lena, supreme ruler of the Hazari Empire, broadcasts her ultimatum across all frequencies. Humans, your primitive civilization ends today. Surrender immediately or face annihilation. Panic erupts across the globe as world leaders convene in emergency sessions. Hours later, a joint statement shocks the populace. Earth will capitulate to the Hazari demands. As alien dropships descend on major cities, despair grips humanity. In Colorado's Rocky Mountains, U.S. Space Force Lieutenant Chris Collins receives encrypted orders to report to a hidden underground base. Descending deep beneath the Earth's surface, he joins a select group of military personnel from around the world. The cavernous command center buzzes with activity as grim-faced officers hurry about their tasks. Admiral Zhang steps to the podium, her voice cutting through the tense atmosphere. Welcome to Operation Phoenix. For decades, we've prepared for this day in utmost secrecy. While the Hazari believe they've caught us defenseless, they've walked into our trap. Gasps and murmurs ripple through the audience as massive view screens activate, revealing images that defy belief. Scattered throughout the solar system are immense shipyards and sprawling bases. On the far side of the moon, nestled within the asteroid belt, and hidden in the swirling clouds of Jupiter. Behold humanity's hidden fleet, Zhang continues, gesturing to the screens. Thousands of warships equipped with technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien vessels. Our apparent surrender is a ruse, buying time as we mobilize our forces. Chris's mind reels at the implications. Earth hasn't been caught unprepared. They've orchestrated the greatest deception in human history. Lieutenant Collins, Zhang addresses him directly, report to Hangar 17. You're assigned as weapons officer aboard the EFS Nemesis, our most advanced battleship. Prepare for immediate deployment. Heart-pounding, Chris races through gleaming corridors to the massive launch bay. The EFS Nemesis looms before him, a sleek predator of metal and composite materials. As he boards, the ship thrums to life, cloaking systems engaged. From hidden bases across the solar system, Earth's fleet emerges from the shadows. Hundreds of warships materialize around the unsuspecting Hazari Armada. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Chris mans the weapon station, fingers hovering over the firing controls. Admiral Zhang's voice crackles over the comms. All ships, execute Operation Phoenix. Let's show these aliens why they should have never underestimated humanity. The EFS Nemesis surges forward, leading the charge against the Hazari flagship. Chris targets the alien vessel's critical systems, unleashing a barrage of advanced weaponry. Caught completely off guard, the Hazari fleet scrambles to mount a defense. On her command ship, Queen Lena watches in horror as her invasion force crumbles before the human onslaught. The realization hits her like a physical blow. She has gravely miscalculated. Humanity's technological capabilities and strategic foresight far exceed anything the Hazari imagined possible. As Earth's hidden fleet decimates the alien armada, the EFS Nemesis and its sister ships close in on Queen Lena's vessel. Trapped in a deadly pincer movement, the Hazari ruler faces the consequences of her arrogance. The alien queen who arrived to conquer Earth now finds herself fighting for survival against an enemy she gravely underestimated. The EFS Nemesis surged forward, its weapon systems locked onto Queen Lena's flagship. Chris Collins' fingers danced across the control panel, initiating a barrage of advanced missiles and energy beams. The Hazari vessel's shields flickered and failed under the assault, leaving it vulnerable to the human counterattack. Direct hit on their primary power core, Chris shouted, his voice barely audible over the chaos of battle. Captain Elena Reeves nodded grimly. Excellent work, Lieutenant. Maintain fire on their critical systems. Around them, the space battle raged with fierce intensity. Earth's hidden fleet had caught the Hazari completely off guard, and now the alien armada was paying the price for its overconfidence. Human ships darted between the lumbering Hazari vessels, exploiting weaknesses and striking with surgical precision. Admiral Marcus Steele's voice crackled over the comm system. All ships, this is Admiral Steele. Execute Operation Divide and Conquer. Nemesis and Battle Group Alpha, Engage the Hazari flagship directly. All other vessels, focus fire on their support ships. Let's break their command structure. Captain Reeves acknowledged the order and vectored the Nemesis towards Queen Lena's crippled vessel. Chris's tactical display lit up with new targeting solutions as they closed in on their primary objective. "Weapons hot, Captain," Chris reported, his fingers hovering over the firing controls. "Ready to disable their propulsion systems on your mark." "Fire at will, Lieutenant," Reeves commanded. Chris unleashed a salvo of specialized EMP torpedoes, designed to overload and shut down the alien ship's engines. The projectiles streaked across the void, impacting the Hazari flagship with pinpoint accuracy. Arcs of energy crackled across the vessel's hull as its propulsion systems sputtered and died. "Direct hit," Chris exclaimed. "Their main engines are offline. They're dead in the water." Captain Reeves allowed herself a small smile. "Excellent work, everyone. Admiral Steele, this is the Nemesis. Hazari flagship has been immobilized and is ready for boarding action." "Copy that, Nemesis," Steele replied. "Prepare to receive our assault team. We're taking that ship and capturing their leadership." As the boarding preparations began, Chris turned his attention to the wider battle. Earth's fleet was decimating the Hazari forces, their superior tactics and reverse-engineered technology proving too much for the alien invaders. Hazari ships were being destroyed or disabled at an alarming rate, their formation crumbling under the relentless human assault. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Nemesis's bridge. The sensor officer's voice was tense as he reported, "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy surge at the edge of the solar system. It's a wormhole." All eyes turned to the main view screen as a swirling vortex of energy materialized in the distance. Chris felt his heart sink as he watched ship after ship emerge from the anomaly. A second wave of Hazari reinforcements, far larger than the initial invasion force. "Admiral Steele?" Captain Reeves called out, her voice steady despite the dire situation. "We have a new problem. Hazari reinforcements have arrived through a wormhole. Their numbers are significant." There was a moment of tense silence before Steele's response came through. "Understood, Nemesis. All ships, hold positions and await further orders. We need to reassess our strategy." Chris studied the tactical display, his mind racing. The human fleet had the upper hand against the first wave, but this new threat could quickly overwhelm them if they weren't careful. They had the element of surprise and superior technology on their side, but the sheer numbers of the Hazari reinforcements were daunting. As the bridge crew of the Nemesis waited for Admiral Steele's decision, reports began flooding in from Earth's surface. Major Sarah Chen's resistance forces had launched coordinated attacks against the Hazari ground troops in major cities across the globe. Sleeper cells of human fighters who had been biding their time posing as compliant civilians were now engaging the alien invaders in urban guerrilla warfare. "Lieutenant Collins," Captain Reeves called out, snapping Chris back to attention. "Keep our weapons trained on that Hazari flagship. If they so much as twitch, I want to know about it." "Aye, Captain," Chris responded, refocusing on the immediate threat. The seconds ticked by like hours as they awaited Admiral Steele's orders. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and Chris knew that the next few moments would determine whether humanity's bold gambit would result in a stunning victory or a catastrophic defeat. Finally, Admiral Steele's voice rang out across the fleet's communication channels. "All ships, this is Admiral Steele. We've come too far to back down now. Nemesis and Battle Group Alpha, proceed with the capture of the Hazari flagship and Queen Lena. The rest of the fleet will regroup and prepare to engage the incoming reinforcements. We'll use our superior tactics and technology to even the odds. Earth fleet, let's show these aliens what humanity is truly capable of." As the orders were acknowledged across the fleet, Chris felt a surge of purpose. He tightened his grip on the weapons controls, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle for Earth's future was nowhere near the end, and the crew of the EFS Nemesis would be at the forefront of humanity's fight for survival. Admiral Steele's voice crackled through the comm system once more, his tone resolute. "All ships, new orders. We're splitting into two task forces. EFS Nemesis and Battle Group Alpha, continue your assault on the Hazari flagship. Your primary objective is to capture Queen Lena. The rest of the fleet form up under Vice Admiral Hawkins, prepare to intercept the incoming reinforcements. Chris Collins felt a surge of adrenaline as the Nemesis broke away from the main fleet, leading the charge towards the crippled Hazari command ship. His fingers flew across the weapons console, running last-minute diagnostics on their systems. "Lieutenant Collins," Captain Reeves called out, "keep a close eye on that flagship. If they so much as twitch, I want to know about it." "Aye, Captain," Chris responded, his eyes glued to the sensor readouts. As the Nemesis closed in on its target, Chris noticed an odd energy fluctuation emanating from the Hazari vessel's hull. His brow furrowed as he analyzed the data. "Captain, I'm detecting an unusual energy signature from the flagship," he reported. "It appears they're attempting to activate some kind of emergency teleportation system." Captain Reeves leaned forward in her chair. "Can you pinpoint the source?" Chris's fingers danced across the console. "Yes, ma'am. Targeting now." Without hesitation, he locked onto the energy source and fired a precision strike. The beam lanced out from the Nemesis, striking the Hazari ship with surgical accuracy. The alien vessel shuddered, and the energy signature winked out. "Direct hit," Chris announced. "Teleportation system disabled. Queen Lena and her officers are trapped on board." Meanwhile, Vice Admiral Hawkins's task force took up defensive positions near the detected wormhole. The massive form of the Helios array came into view, its solar panels glinting in the starlight. Chris had heard rumors of the device during his training, but seeing it in action was another matter entirely. As the first wave of Hazari reinforcements emerged from the swirling vortex, Hawkins' voice rang out across the comms. "Helios array, activate!" A blinding beam of concentrated solar energy erupted from the array, engulfing the lead Hazari ships. Chris watched in awe as the vessels simply vaporized, their hulls unable to withstand the immense power of Earth's sun weaponized against them. The Nemesis shuddered as it made contact with the Hazari flagship, magnetic grapples locking the two ships together. Captain Reeves stood, her voice firm. "Boarding team, you're clear to engage. Good hunting." Chris switched his tactical display to track the progress of the Earth Space Marines as they breached the alien vessel's hull. Led by Commander Jack Reeves, the team fought their way through twisting corridors, facing fierce resistance from the Hazari crew. "Chris, keep an eye on our boarding team," Captain Reeves ordered. "Use our sensors to guide them if needed." "Understood, Captain," Chris replied, his attention split between monitoring the Marines' progress and scanning for any new threats. Suddenly, an alarm blared on his console. Chris's eyes widened as he interpreted the data. "Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the Hazari flagship's reactor core. They might be preparing to self-destruct." Captain Reeves cursed under her breath. "Relay that information to Commander Reeves immediately. They need to reach the bridge before it's too late." As Chris transmitted the urgent warning, his sensors picked up a new development in the larger battle. A small group of Hazari ships had broken away from the main reinforcement fleet, bypassing Vice Admiral Hawkins' forces entirely. "Captain, we have a situation," Chris reported. "A Hazari detachment is making a run for the moon. They're headed straight for our hidden shipyard." Captain Reeves's face tightened. "Inform Admiral Steele. We can't let them expose our infrastructure." Chris relayed the information, his mind racing. The battle had become a multi-front engagement, with each theater holding potentially devastating consequences for Earth's defense. On his tactical display, Chris watched as Commander Reeves and his team neared the bridge of the Hazari flagship. The Marines moved with practiced efficiency, their advance a testament to years of covert operations against alien threats. Meanwhile, Vice Admiral Hawkins's task force continued its hit-and-run tactics against the emerging Hazari reinforcements. The Helios array glowed as it recharged, preparing for another devastating blast. Chris's attention snapped back to the boarding action as Commander Reeves's voice crackled over the comm. "We've reached the bridge. Engaging Hazari leadership now." The next few moments would determine the fate of the battle, and possibly the entire war. Chris's hands hovered over his console, ready to provide whatever support he could as humanity fought for its survival against overwhelming odds. Chris's hands hovered over his console, ready to provide whatever support he could as humanity fought for its survival against overwhelming forces. The bridge of the Nemesis erupted into a flurry of activity as Commander Jack Reeves's voice crackled through the comm system. "This is Reeves. We've breached the bridge of the Hazari flagship. Engaging hostiles now." Chris's fingers flew across his console, enhancing the audio feed from the boarding team's communication channels. The sounds of intense close-quarters combat filled the air. The staccato bursts of gunfire, the clash of metal on metal, and the guttural shouts of both humans and Hazari. Captain Reeves leaned forward in her chair, her fingers tightening as she wrapped his hand around the chairs. "Status report, Lieutenant Collins. What's happening over there?" Chris's eyes darted between multiple displays, tracking the life signs of the boarding team and monitoring the energy fluctuations within the Hazari vessel. "The team is encountering heavy resistance from what appears to be the Hazari Royal Guard, Captain. Commander Reeves is leading the charge, but it's a brutal firefight." Suddenly, the comms erupted with Commander Reeves's voice again, his words punctuated by the sound of energy weapons discharging. "This is Reeves. I've got eyes on Queen Lena. Moving to engage?" The bridge of the Nemesis fell silent as they listened to the sounds of a fierce hand-to-hand struggle. Grunts of exertion and the impact of blows came through clearly, painting a vivid picture of the desperate battle taking place on the Hazari Bridge. After what felt like an eternity, Commander Reeves's voice returned, breathless but triumphant. "Target secured! I repeat, Queen Lena is in custody." A cheer went up from the crew of the Nemesis, but it was short-lived. Chris's console suddenly lit up with urgent warnings, and his heart raced as he interpreted the data. "Captain, I'm detecting a critical energy surge in the Hazari flagship's reactor core. They're initiating a self-destruct sequence." Captain Reeves's face paled. "How long do we have?" Chris's fingers flew across his console, running calculations at lightning speed. Less than 5 minutes before total core meltdown, the explosion would vaporize both ships and cause massive casualties on both sides. The captain's fist tight. "Options, Lieutenant." Chris's mind raced, considering and discarding possibilities in rapid succession. Suddenly, an idea struck him. "The tractor beam, Captain. We can use it to extract the unstable core and jettison it into space." Captain Reeves nodded sharply. "Do it, Collins. Now." Chris immediately began the complex sequence of commands required to activate the Nemesis's advanced tractor beam technology. He carefully calibrated the energy field, adjusting for the volatile nature of the Hazari reactor core. "Initiating extraction," he announced, his voice tense with concentration. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as the tractor beam engaged, its invisible tendrils reaching into the heart of the Hazari flagship. Chris's hands moved with surgical precision, guiding the energy field around the unstable core. "Core secured," he reported. "Beginning extraction process." Sweat beaded on Chris's forehead as he carefully maneuvered the reactor core out of the Hazari ship. The slightest miscalculation could result in catastrophic failure. "Core cleared of the Hazari vessel," Chris announced, "preparing for emergency jettison." With a final command, Chris released the tractor beam's hold on the reactor core, sending it hurtling into the void of space. Seconds later, a brilliant flash of light illuminated the battlefield as the core detonated harmlessly in the distance. "Detonation confirmed," Chris reported, allowing himself a small sigh of relief. "Threat neutralized, Captain." Captain Reeves nodded approvingly. "Excellent work, Lieutenant. You've just saved countless lives." Before they could fully process their narrow escape, a priority transmission came through from Vice Admiral Hawkins. His face appeared on the main view screen, his expression grim. "Nemesis, this is Hawkins. The Helios array needs one more recharge cycle before it can fire again. We're vulnerable to the Hazari reinforcements. Deploying the QED now." Chris watched in fascination as a small, unassuming device was launched from Hawkins' flagship. As it activated, the tactical display showed the Hazari fleet's formation suddenly breaking apart, their ships moving erratically. "The quantum entanglement disruptor is working," Chris reported. "The Hazari fleet's faster-than-light communications are completely scrambled." Captain Reeves allowed herself a small smile. "Let's hope that gives us the edge we need." Suddenly, a new alarm blared on Chris's console. He quickly assessed the data, his eyes widening. "Captain, The Hazari ships approaching the moon have almost reached our hidden shipyard. Before Captain Reeves could respond, a new voice came over the comm system. This is Colonel Elena Volkov, commander of Lunar Base Artemis. We've detected the incoming Hazari ships and are activating our defense systems now. Chris watched in awe as his sensors picked up a massive energy surge from the far side of the moon. Hidden railguns emerged from the lunar surface, while energy shields shimmered into existence around key installations. Coordinating with nearby Earth vessels now, Volkov's voice continued, we'll create a multi-layered defense to protect the shipyard. As the battle raged across multiple fronts, Chris's attention was drawn to an incoming transmission from Earth. The face of Major Sarah Chen appeared on a secondary screen, her expression one of fierce purpose. This is Major Chen. My guerrilla forces have just captured a Hazari command center in Beijing. We've gained access to their local communication network and are disrupting their ground operations as we speak. Before Chris could fully process this new development, Admiral Marcus Steele's voice boomed across all channels. All ships, this is Admiral Steele. It's time to end this. Activating Project Daedalus now. Chris's jaw dropped as his sensors detected massive energy signatures emerging from various points across Earth's surface. Enormous ion cannons, hidden within mountain ranges, rose from their concealment and began targeting the remaining Hazari ships in low orbit. As Project Daedalus came online, turning the tide of the battle decisively in Earth's favor, Chris noticed an anomalous reading on his long-range sensors. He quickly ran a more detailed scan, his brow furrowing as he interpreted the results. Captain, he called out, his voice tight with concern, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the outer reaches of the solar system. Initial analysis suggests another alien fleet approaching rapidly. Captain Reeves's eyes narrowed as she processed this new information. Contact Admiral Steele immediately. We need to... Her words were cut off as Admiral Steele's voice came through once again. EFS Nemesis, this is Steele. We've detected the incoming fleet. Your new orders are to rendezvous with the science vessel, Copernicus, and investigate this potential new threat. The rest of our forces will secure our victory here and prepare for possible new hostilities. Chris met Captain Reeves' gaze, both of them acutely aware of the weight of their new mission. As the Nemesis broke away from the main battlefield, Chris couldn't help but wonder what new challenges awaited them in the depths of space. The Hazari threat might be nearly neutralized, but it seemed the true test of humanity's place in the cosmos was just beginning. As the Nemesis broke formation with the main fleet, Chris felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. The unknown alien fleet loomed ahead, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Lieutenant Collins set a course for the rendezvous point with the Copernicus, Captain Reeves ordered, her voice steady despite the tension palpable on the bridge. And open a secure channel to Admiral Steele. We need more information about this mission. Chris's fingers danced across his console, plotting the most efficient route to intercept the science vessel. As he worked, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing Admiral Steele's stern visage. Captain Reeves, Lieutenant Collins, Steele began without preamble. I'm transmitting the full mission parameters now. You'll be joined by Dr. Alan Reeves, our foremost xenobiologist and first contact specialist. Chris's eyebrows rose in surprise. Reeves? Any relation to Commander Jack Reeves, sir? Steele nodded. Dr. Reeves is the commander's brother. His expertise will be crucial in identifying and potentially communicating with this new alien presence. As if on cue, a sleek shuttle emerged from the Copernicus, quickly closing the distance to the Nemesis. Chris monitored its approach, guiding it smoothly into the docking bay. Minutes later, the bridge doors slid open, revealing a tall, lean man with piercing blue eyes that mirrored those of Commander Jack Reeves. Dr. Alan Reeves strode onto the bridge, his movements precise and deliberate. Dr. Reeves, welcome aboard, Captain Reeves greeted him. I trust you've been briefed on the situation? The scientist nodded, his gaze already fixed on the long-range sensor displays. Indeed, Captain. And I must say, these readings are fascinating. The energy signatures from this new fleet are unlike anything we've encountered before. Chris swiveled in his chair, addressing Dr. Reeves directly. What can you tell us about them, Doctor? Are they similar to the Hazari in any way? Dr. Reeves shook his head, a hint of excitement creeping into his voice. No, Lieutenant. In fact, they're completely different. The technological basis of these ships is far removed from Hazari design principles. We're dealing with an entirely new species here. As the Nemesis pushed deeper into space, Chris kept a vigilant eye on his sensors. The unknown fleet grew larger on his displays, a collection of sleek, almost organic-looking vessels that seemed to flow through space rather than push against it. Suddenly, his console lit up with an urgent alert. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship of the alien fleet." Captain Reeves leaned forward in her chair. "Can we decode it?" Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with intellectual curiosity. "Allow me, Captain. My team has developed advanced xenolinguistic algorithms for just such an occasion." The scientist's fingers flew across a nearby console, inputting complex commands and adjustments. The bridge speakers crackled to life, filled with a series of harmonious tones and clicks that slowly purposed into recognizable speech. "Greetings, people of Earth," the translated message began. "We are the Orcs, and we come in peace. We have observed your conflict with the Hazari and wish to establish diplomatic relations." A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. Chris felt his heart racing as he realized the full import of this moment. They were making first contact with a potentially friendly alien species. Captain Reeves composed herself quickly. "Dr. Reeves, can you prepare a response?" The scientist nodded, already working on the translation. "I'll keep it simple, a greeting and an invitation to parley." As Dr. Reeves crafted their reply, Chris's mind whirled with the implications of this encounter. The Orcs could be powerful allies against the Hazari, potentially tipping the scales of the conflict decisively in Earth's favor, but they could also present an entirely new set of challenges and unknowns. "Message sent, Captain," Dr. Reeves announced. "Now we wait for their response." The tension on the bridge was palpable as seconds stretched into minutes. Chris kept his eyes glued to his sensor readings, watching for any sign of aggressive movement from the Orcs fleet. But the alien ships maintained their position, seemingly content to wait for further communication. Finally, Chris's console lit up once more. "Incoming transmission, Captain!" The translated message filled the bridge, the Orcs' harmonious tones carrying a note of what could only be described as curiosity. "We accept your invitation for parley. Please designate a neutral location for our representatives to meet. We look forward to discussing the future of our peoples and the galaxy at large." Captain Reeves turned to Chris and Dr. Reeves, her expression a mixture of commitment and caution. "Gentlemen, it seems we have a first contact situation on our hands. Lieutenant Collins, begin scanning for a suitable location for this meeting. Dr. Reeves, I want you to prepare every scrap of information we have on the Orcs. We need to be as prepared as possible for this encounter." As Chris began his scans, searching for a nearby asteroid or moon that could serve as a neutral meeting ground, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. In the span of a few short weeks, humanity had gone from a species unaware of alien life to one fighting for its survival against the Hazari. And now, they stood on the precipice of a diplomatic encounter that could reshape the future of Earth and its place in the cosmos. The Nemesis continued its approach towards the Orcs fleet, the crew working tirelessly to prepare for the upcoming meeting. As Chris identified a promising asteroid for the parley, he realized that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The outcome of this encounter could determine the fate of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. Galaxy. Chris took a deep breath, steadying himself for the momentous encounter ahead. "Lieutenant Collins, I've identified a suitable asteroid for our meeting," he reported to Captain Reeves. "It's approximately 500 kilometers in diameter, with a stable orbit and no detectable hazards." Captain Reeves nodded approvingly. "Excellent work, Lieutenant. Transmit the coordinates to the Orcs and prepare for approach." As Chris relayed the information, Dr. Reeves approached his station, eyes gleaming with excitement. "This is truly remarkable, Lieutenant. We're about to make history." Before Chris could respond, his console lit up with an incoming transmission. "Captain, the Orcs are requesting a face-to-face meeting aboard the Nemesis instead of the asteroid." Captain Reeves frowned, exchanging a glance with Dr. Reeves. "That's unexpected. Open a secure channel to Admiral Steele. We need to consult on this change of plans. Minutes later, with Admiral Steele's cautious approval, the Nemesis prepared to receive its alien visitors. Chris found himself in the docking bay, part of the welcoming committee alongside Dr. Reeves and a contingent of armed security personnel. His heart raced as he watched the sleek Orcs shuttle maneuver into the bay, its organic design a stark contrast to the utilitarian human architecture. As the shuttle's hatch hissed open, Chris held his breath. 3 tall bipedal figures emerged, their iridescent scales shimmering under the bay's lights. Their elongated craniums and large, multifaceted eyes gave them an otherworldly appearance that sent a shiver down Chris's spine. The lead Orcs stepped forward, its movements fluid and graceful. "Greetings, humans of the Nemesis. I am Ambassador Zaxlor. We come in peace and with hope for a prosperous alliance." Dr. Reeves, his xeno-linguistic skills put to the ultimate test, translated the harmonious clicks and trills of the Orcs language. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador Zaxlor," he replied, his voice steady despite the momentous occasion. "I am Dr. Alan Reeves, and this is Lieutenant Chris Collins. We're honored to receive you." As the two groups began their cautious introductions, Chris couldn't help but marvel at the surreal nature of the situation. Just weeks ago, humanity had been alone in the universe. Now, they stood face to face with their second alien species, potential allies against the Hazari threat. The meeting moved to a specially prepared conference room, where Ambassador Zaxlor began to explain the Orcs' interest in humanity. "We have observed your world for centuries," the ambassador said, his words flowing through Dr. Reeves's translation. "We've watched your species grow, develop, and reach for the stars. The Hazari invasion prompted us to finally make contact." As Zaxlor spoke, Chris noticed Dr. Reeves's brow furrowing slightly. The xenobiologist's eyes darted between the Orcs, his tablet, and Chris, a look of concern growing on his face. "Ambassador," Dr. Reeves interjected politely, "you mentioned observing us for centuries. Could you elaborate on the extent of this observation?" As Zaxlor launched into a detailed explanation, Dr. Reeves discreetly leaned towards Chris. "Lieutenant," he whispered, "something's not right. There are inconsistencies in their language patterns and behavior. We need to be cautious." Chris nodded imperceptibly, his training kicking in as he maintained a neutral expression. He began to scrutinize the Orcs more closely, looking for any signs of deception or hidden motives. The negotiations continued, with Zaxlor offering advanced Orcs technology to help defend Earth against future threats. However, Chris couldn't shake the growing sense of unease. The Orcs' promises seemed too good to be true, and their knowledge of Earth's defenses was uncomfortably detailed. As Chris pondered how to navigate this delicate diplomatic situation, his communicator buzzed with an urgent message. Excusing himself, he stepped out of the conference room to read it. "Lieutenant Collins," the message from Admiral Steele read, "critical information uncovered by Major Chen's forces on Earth. Hazari superweapon hidden in asteroid belt. Vice Admiral Hawkins assembling task force, led by Captain Donovan to neutralize threat. Stay alert for potential complications with Orcs. Steele out." Chris's mind raced as he processed this new information. The existence of a Hazari planet killer added a new level of urgency to their situation. He needed to inform Captain Reeves without alerting the Orcs or derailing the negotiations. As he re-entered the conference room, Chris caught Dr. Reeves's eye, giving him a subtle nod. The xenobiologist seemed to understand that something had changed. "Ambassador Zaxlor," Chris said, carefully choosing his words, "your offer of advanced technology is generous. However, given the recent conflict with the Hazari, we would need to carefully consider any potential alliance. Perhaps we could discuss specific areas where our civilizations might collaborate." As the conversation shifted, Chris discreetly signaled to Captain Reeves, indicating the need for a private word. The diplomatic dance continued, with humanity's representatives walking a tightrope between potential alliance and necessary caution. Unbeknownst to the delegates on the Nemesis, events were unfolding rapidly across the solar system. On the lunar base, Colonel Volkov oversaw the implementation of reverse-engineered Hazari propulsion technology, dramatically enhancing the capabilities of Earth's growing fleet. In the asteroid belt, Captain Donovan's task force raced against time to locate and neutralize the hidden Hazari superweapon. And at the edge of the solar system, a massive energy signature began to materialize, dwarfing anything previously encountered. As sensors on distant outposts detected this new anomaly, a fresh wave of uncertainty swept through Earth's defenders. On the Nemesis, Chris felt the weight of these converging events pressing down on him. The true intentions of the Orcs remained unclear. The Hazari threat still loomed, and now an unknown force approached from the depths of space. As he exchanged another concerned glance with Dr. Reeves, Chris knew that their next moves would be crucial in shaping the future of humanity in this suddenly crowded and dangerous cosmos. Galaxy. As Chris pondered the implications of their encounter with the Orcs, his thoughts were abruptly interrupted by an urgent transmission from Admiral Steele. "Lieutenant Collins," the Admiral's voice crackled through the secure channel, "we've detected a massive energy signature at the edge of the solar system. I'm redirecting long-range sensor arrays to gather more data. Stand by for updates." Chris's heart raced as he processed this new information. He caught Dr. Reeves's eye and gave a subtle nod, indicating the need for a private word. As they excused themselves from the conference room, leaving Captain Reeves to continue discussions with Ambassador Zaxalor, Chris quickly briefed the xenobiologist on the situation. "A massive energy signature?" Dr. Reeves whispered, his brow furrowing. "That could explain the Orcs' sudden appearance and their eagerness to form an alliance. We need to tread carefully here, Chris." Before they could discuss further, Chris's communicator buzzed again. Admiral Steele's voice came through, tinged with a mix of awe and concern. "Collins, you're not going to believe this. The sensor readings show a colossal structure emerging from what appears to be a stable wormhole. It's a ring-shaped megastructure, thousands of kilometers in diameter." Chris and Dr. Reeves exchanged shocked glances. As they processed this information, they noticed a change in the Orcs delegation through the conference room's transparent walls. Ambassador Zaxalor and his companions seemed visibly agitated, their scaled skin shifting colors rapidly. "Dr. Reeves," Chris said quietly, "I think it's time to put your xenolinguistic skills to the test. We need to know what they know about this structure." As they re-entered the conference room, Dr. Reeves began to observe the Orcs more closely, paying particular attention to the subtle nuances in their language and body language. Chris, meanwhile, turned his attention to Captain Reeves. "Captain," he said, keeping his voice low, "we've received some critical information from Admiral Steele. I believe it's time to adjust our approach with our guests." As Chris brought the captain up to speed, events were unfolding rapidly across the solar system. In the asteroid belt, Captain Eric Donovan's task force had located the hidden Hazari superweapon concealed within a hollowed-out asteroid. "All ships, maintain formation," Donovan's voice crackled over the comms. "We're going to attempt to disable this weapon without destroying it. This tech could be invaluable to our efforts." Back on Earth, Major Sarah Chen coordinated with global resistance forces for a final push against the remaining Hazari ground troops. "All units, commence Operation Stardust," she commanded from her mobile command center. "Hit them hard, hit them fast. Cut off their supplies and communications. Let's end this." In lunar orbit, Colonel Elena Volkov watched as the first batch of upgraded human warships prepared for deployment. The vessels, sleek and powerful, incorporated reverse-engineered Hazari technology that promised to level the playing field. "This is Colonel Volkov to all ships," she broadcast. "Your primary mission is to reinforce Earth's defenses. We don't know what's coming through that wormhole, but we'll be ready for it." As these events unfolded, Dr. Reeves made a breakthrough in his observations of the Orcs. He pulled Chris aside, his eyes wide with excitement and concern. "Lieutenant," he whispered urgently, "I've decoded some subtle nuances in their language. There are hidden meanings in their communications. They know something about this ring structure. They called it a nexus gate when they thought we couldn't understand." Chris felt a chill run down his spine. "So they've been playing us this whole time?" "It's not clear," Dr. Reeves replied, "but their reaction to the news suggests they have prior knowledge of this nexus gate. We need to be extremely cautious moving forward." Chris nodded, his mind racing with the implications. He turned back to the Orcs delegation, watching Ambassador Zaxalor with newfound suspicion. The alien's multifaceted eyes seemed to glitter with hidden knowledge, and Chris couldn't help but wonder what other secrets they might be concealing. As the diplomatic dance continued on the Nemesis, Chris knew that their next moves would be crucial. With the emergence of the Nexus Gate, the stakes had risen exponentially. Earth's forces, still reeling from the Hazari invasion, now faced a new paradigm-shifting development that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. In the distance, Commander Alexei Volkov's recon team approached the massive Nexus Gate, its ring-shaped structure dominating the view from their ship's viewport. As they drew closer, the true scale of the ancient device became apparent, dwarfing even the largest known spacecraft. "All hands prepare for close approach," Commander Volkov ordered, his voice steady despite the tension palpable on the bridge. "Sensors at maximum resolution. Let's see what secrets this thing is hiding." As the recon team began their careful examination of the Nexus Gate, the solar system held its breath. The next few hours would determine not just the outcome of the current crisis, but potentially the future of humanity among the stars. As the recon team approached the Nexus Gate, Commander Alexei Volkov's voice cut through the tense silence on the bridge. "Activate cloaking systems. All hands, maintain absolute radio silence." The sleek vessel shimmered and vanished from view as it glided towards the colossal ring-shaped structure. Volkov's eyes narrowed as he studied the readouts on his console, taking in the flood of data from their advanced sensors. "Sir," his science officer whispered, "these energy readings are off the charts. I've never seen anything like it." Volkov nodded grimly. "Keep scanning. I want every detail about this thing." Meanwhile, aboard the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins took a deep breath, steeling himself for what came next. He glanced at Dr. Reeves, who gave him a subtle nod of encouragement. "Ambassador Zaxalor," Collins began, his voice steady despite the tension in the room, "we've detected a massive structure at the edge of our solar system. A ring-shaped megastructure, to be precise. Would you care to comment on this Nexus Gate?" The effect was immediate. Zaxalor's multifaceted eyes widened, and his scales rippled with a cascade of colors. The other Arcsur delegates shifted uncomfortably, exchanging quick glances. "I see," Zaxalor said slowly, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid clicks and trills. "It seems we have underestimated your species' capabilities, Lieutenant Collins." The ambassador paused, his eyes darting between Collins and Dr. Reeves. "Yes, we are aware of the Nexus Gate. We had planned to share this information with you, but we wanted to ensure you were prepared for such knowledge." Collins leaned forward, his gaze locked on Zaxalor. "Prepared? In what way, Ambassador?" Before Zaxalor could respond, Collins's communicator buzzed. He excused himself, stepping away to receive the incoming message. "Lieutenant," Admiral Steele's voice crackled through the secure channel. "We've got a situation. Captain Donovan's team has successfully neutralized the Hazari superweapon. They're securing it for transport now." Collins felt a surge of relief. "That's excellent news, sir." "There's more," Steele continued. "Commander Volkov's recon team has discovered a hidden Hazari outpost near the Nexus Gate. It appears to be monitoring and possibly controlling the structure." Collins' mind raced, processing the implications. "What are your orders, sir?" "Keep the Arcsur engaged. We're mobilizing our forces to secure the Nexus Gate. Colonel Elena Volkov is leading a fleet to your location. And Collins, be careful. We don't know the full extent of the Arcsur's involvement in all this." "Understood, sir," Collins replied, ending the transmission. As he turned back to the conference room, Collins saw Dr. Reeves deep in conversation with Captain Reeves. The xenobiologist's expression was grave as he relayed his findings about the hidden meanings in the Arcsur language. Collins rejoined the negotiations, his mind working overtime to formulate a strategy. He needed to keep the Arcsur distracted while Earth's forces made their move. "Ambassador Zaxalor," Collins said, his tone carefully neutral, "you mentioned being prepared. Perhaps you could elaborate on the nature of this Nexus Gate and its significance to our alliance." As Zaxalor launched into a carefully worded explanation, Collins watched the Arcsur delegates closely, noting every subtle shift in their body language and speech patterns. In lunar orbit, Colonel Elena Volkov stood on the bridge of the EFS Athena, the flagship of Earth's newly upgraded fleet. The sleek, powerful vessels around her incorporated the best of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered Hazari technology. "All ships, report in," Volkov commanded, her voice crisp and authoritative. As each ship confirmed its readiness, Volkov felt a mix of pride and apprehension. The fate of Earth could hinge on their next actions. "Set course for the Nexus Gate," she ordered. "Maximum speed. We need to secure that structure before anyone else does." As the fleet accelerated towards the edge of the solar system, Volkov couldn't help but wonder what they would find when they arrived. The Nexus Gate, the hidden Hazari outpost, the Arxur's true intentions. All these unknowns swirled in her mind. Back on the lunar surface, Major David Xiang sat across from Queen Lena, the captured Hazari leader. Her once regal bearing was diminished by captivity, but her eyes still held a spark of defiance. "Tell me about this splinter faction," Xiang pressed. "This Krontal and his followers. Where can we find them?" Lena's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Krontal and his supporters went into hiding when the invasion began. They have a secret base in the Kuiper Belt. If you can reach them, they might be willing to ally with you against the Empire. Xiang leaned back, considering this new information. A potential ally among the Hazari could be a game-changer. But could they trust Lena's word? As these events unfolded across the solar system, Commander Alexei Volkov's recon team edged closer to the hidden Hazari outpost near the Nexus Gate. Their cloaked vessel slipped silently through the void, undetected by the outpost's sensors. "Team, prepare for infiltration," Volkov whispered into his comm. "Our objective is to gain control of this outpost, and by extension, the Nexus Gate itself. The future of Earth depends on our success." As his team readied themselves for the dangerous mission ahead, Volkov's gaze was drawn to the massive ring structure looming before them. The Nexus Gate pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its true purpose and power yet unknown. In that moment, as humanity's forces converged on this ancient megastructure, the fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would become a major player in galactic affairs or be relegated to the sidelines of cosmic history. As Commander Alexei Volkov's gaze lingered on the pulsing energy of the Nexus Gate, he steeled himself for the mission ahead. With a quick gesture to his team, they began their approach to the hidden Hazari outpost. The cloaked vessel glided silently through the void, its advanced stealth technology rendering it invisible to the outpost's sensors. As they drew closer, Volkov could make out the faint outline of a cloaked asteroid, its surface shimmering with a subtle distortion that betrayed its presence. "Team, prepare for infiltration," Volkov whispered into his comm. "Remember, our objective is to gain control of this outpost, and by extension, the Nexus Gate itself. Maintain radio silence unless absolutely necessary." The five-person team, each member a pinnacle of human skill and training, moved with practiced precision as they prepared for the insertion. Their suits, incorporating the latest in human and reverse-engineered Hazari tech, would give them every advantage in the alien environment. As they approached the asteroid's surface, Volkov's second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, identified a weak point in the Hazari security field. It was a vulnerability they had discovered during the battles on Earth, and now it would be their key to breaching the outpost's outer defenses. With a series of hand signals, Volkov directed his team to the entry point. They moved swiftly and silently, their mag boots allowing them to traverse the asteroid's surface with ease. Chen worked quickly, her fingers dancing over a compact hollow interface as she exploited the security flaw. Moments later, a small section of the asteroid's surface shimmered and disappeared, revealing an airlock. The team slipped inside, the door sealing behind them with a soft hiss. As the airlock cycled, Volkov's mind raced with the possibilities that lay ahead. The fate of Earth, perhaps the entire galaxy, could hinge on what they discovered here. The inner door slid open, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Volkov led the way, his team fanning out behind him in a practiced formation. Their sensors indicated minimal life signs throughout the facility, suggesting a skeleton crew. They moved deeper into the outpost, encountering no resistance. The corridors were eerily quiet, the only sound the soft hum of machinery and the muted footsteps of Volkov's team. After several tense minutes of navigating the labyrinthine structure, they arrived at what their scans indicated was the central control room. Volkov held up a closed fist, signaling his team to halt. With practiced ease, they took up positions around the door. Volkov nodded to Chen, who activated a small device on her wrist. The door slid open silently, and the team surged into the room. Inside, they found a group of Hazari technicians, their attention fixed on a massive holographic display of the Nexus Gate. The aliens barely had time to register the intrusion before Volkov's team had them subdued, using non-lethal tactics to quickly and efficiently neutralize the threat. As Chen secured the prisoners, Volkov approached the central console. The holographic display flickered, showing a real-time feed of the massive ring structure outside. "Control room secured," Volkov reported quietly into his comm. "Minimal resistance encountered. We have full access to the outpost systems." Meanwhile, aboard the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins felt the weight of the moment as he faced Ambassador Zaxelor. The Arcsur's multifaceted eyes gleamed with a mix of surprise and calculation. "Ambassador," Collins began, his voice steady, "I believe it's time we discuss the true nature of the Nexus Gate and its significance to our potential alliance." Zaxelor's scales rippled with a cascade of colors, a clear sign of agitation. "I see you've been quite thorough in your investigations, Lieutenant," the ambassador said, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid clicks and trills. Collins leaned forward, his gaze locked on Zaxelor. "We know the Arcsurs seek to control the Nexus Gate. What we don't know is why. I think it's time for some honesty between potential allies, don't you?" The ambassador was silent for a moment, his eyes darting between Collins and the other human officials present. Finally, he spoke, his voice grave. "Very well, Lieutenant. The truth is that the Arcsurs seek an alliance with humanity to control the Nexus Gate because we believe it's necessary to prevent other, more hostile alien races from gaining access to this technology." As Zaxelor began to elaborate on the potential threats lurking in the galaxy, Collins listened intently, his mind racing with the implications of this revelation. In lunar orbit, Colonel Elena Volkov stood on the bridge of the EFS Athena, overseeing the deployment of Earth's newly upgraded fleet. The sleek vessels moved with unprecedented speed and precision, their hulls gleaming with the integration of reverse-engineered Hazari technology. "All ships, maintain formation," Volkov commanded, her voice crisp and authoritative. "We're approaching the Nexus Gate. Be prepared for anything." As the fleet accelerated towards their destination, Volkov coordinated with Earth's ground-based defense systems, creating a unified network that extended human control far beyond their home planet. On the lunar surface, Major David Xiang sat across from the captured Hazari Queen Lena, his patience finally yielding results. "The Nexus Gate," Lena said, her mandibles clicking softly, "requires a specific activation sequence. Only high-ranking Hazari officials or their designated proxies can initiate it." Xiang leaned forward, his interest piqued. "And how exactly does this activation sequence work?" As Lena began to explain the intricacies of the gate's operational protocols, Xiang quickly relayed the information to Commander Volkov's team at the hidden outpost. In the asteroid belt, Captain Eric Donovan oversaw the final stages of securing the neutralized Hazari superweapon. As his team prepared the device for transport, his comm crackled to life. "Captain Donovan," Admiral Steele's voice came through, "new orders. You're to rendezvous with Colonel Volkov's fleet near the Nexus Gate. Bring the captured superweapon with you. We believe it may be crucial for interfacing with or controlling the gate." "Understood, Admiral," Donovan replied, already signaling his crew to prepare for departure. "We're on our way." As these events unfolded across the solar system, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. The Nexus Gate loomed before them, a colossal structure of unknown power and potential. With each passing moment, the stakes grew higher, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Commander Volkov, his hands flying over the alien controls in the hidden outpost, began to uncover the secrets of the Nexus Gate. As the vast database of information revealed itself, he realized that they had stumbled upon something far more significant than they could have imagined. The gate's true capabilities and the challenges that lay ahead in mastering them were only just beginning to come into focus. Focus. The implications of what they were uncovering were staggering. "Sir," one of his team members called out, "I've found something unusual in the outpost security protocols." Volkov moved swiftly to the console, his eyes scanning the alien script. As the translation software parsed the information, his expression grew grim. "It's a fail-safe mechanism," he said, his voice tight, "designed to trigger a massive energy surge if unauthorized access is detected. It could potentially destabilize or even destroy the Nexus Gate." Without hesitation, Volkov opened a secure channel to Admiral Steele. "Admiral, we've uncovered a critical threat. The outpost has a self-destruct mechanism tied to the Nexus Gate. We need to proceed with extreme caution." On board the EFS Athena, Admiral Steele absorbed the information, his mind racing through potential scenarios. He had anticipated challenges, but this raised the stakes considerably. "Understood, Commander," Steele replied. "Hold your position and continue monitoring the system. We're implementing our primary strategy now." Steele turned to his communications officer. "Patch me through to all fleet commanders." As the connections were established, Steele's voice rang out across the solar system. "Attention all units. We are initiating Operation Gatekeeper. Captain Donovan, move the Hazari superweapon into position. Colonel Volkov, form a defensive perimeter around the Nexus Gate. All ships prepare for potential hostile action." In the asteroid belt, Captain Eric Donovan's team scrambled to secure the neutralized Hazari superweapon for transport. The massive device, still pulsing with residual energy, was carefully loaded onto a specialized carrier. "All hands, prepare for immediate departure," Donovan ordered. "Our objective is the Nexus Gate. We need to position this weapon to counteract any potential threats." As Donovan's ship accelerated towards their destination, Colonel Elena Volkov's fleet moved into formation around the colossal ring structure of the Nexus Gate. The sleek, newly upgraded Earth vessels took up strategic positions, their weapons systems at the ready. Colonel Volkov stood on the bridge of the EFS Athena, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Something caught her attention. Unusual energy fluctuations emanating from the Orcs ships near the EFS Nemesis. "Tactical, analyze those energy signatures," she commanded. "All ships adopt defensive formation Delta. Be prepared for any aggressive moves." On board the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins noticed a subtle shift in Ambassador Zaxalor's demeanor. The Arcsur diplomat's scales rippled with a cascade of colors, his multifaceted eyes darting between the view screens showing Earth's military maneuvers. Collins casually adjusted his position, making eye contact with the security personnel around the room. They responded with almost imperceptible nods, moving closer to the Arcsur delegation. "Ambassador," Collins said smoothly, "I couldn't help but notice your interest in our fleet movements. Perhaps you'd like to share your thoughts on the situation." Before Zaxalor could respond, a priority transmission came through from Admiral Steele. "Lieutenant Collins, we're initiating the final phase of Operation Gatekeeper. Prepare to receive a high-value asset." Collins acknowledged the order, his mind racing. He knew the high-value asset could only be one thing, or rather, one person. In lunar orbit, a heavily guarded transport vessel detached from the EFS Athena. Inside, Queen Lena sat rigidly, surrounded by armed guards. The captured Hazari leader's mandibles clicked nervously as she felt the ship accelerate toward the Nexus Gate. Admiral Steele's voice crackled over the comm system. "All units, be advised. We are moving the primary asset into position. Captain Donovan, stand by with the superweapon. Commander Volkov, prepare to receive the activation codes." As the transport carrying Queen Lena approached the Nexus Gate, a shimmering energy shield enveloped the vessel, a protective measure using reverse-engineered Hazari technology. In the hidden Hazari outpost, Commander Alexei Volkov and his team worked feverishly to understand and control the complex alien systems. Suddenly, an alert flashed across their screens. "Sir," one of his team called out, "we're detecting an incoming transmission. It's not like anything we've seen before." Volkov leaned in, his eyes narrowing as he studied the strange signal. "Origin?" "Deep space, sir. It appears to be directed at the Nexus Gate." Without hesitation, Volkov opened a channel to the EFS Nemesis. "This is Commander Volkov. We need Dr. Reeves to assist with decryption immediately. We have an unknown transmission incoming." As Dr. Alan Reeves was patched in to help with the mysterious signal, Captain Donovan's team arrived with the Hazari superweapon. They quickly began positioning the device, its energy core pulsating with increasing intensity. Donovan frowned as he observed the weapon's behavior. "Engineering, what's causing this reaction?" His chief engineer shook her head, bewildered. "Sir, it appears to be resonating with the Nexus Gate's energy field. We're seeing gravitational anomalies forming around the structure." Across the comm channels, reports flooded in of the increasing difficulties in maintaining position around the Nexus Gate. Earth ships struggled against the unpredictable gravitational forces, their advanced systems straining to compensate. Admiral Steele, monitoring the situation from the EFS Athena, made his decision. "All units, this is Admiral Steele. We are initiating Nexus Gate activation now. Queen Lena's transport, move into final position. Commander Volkov, stand by to receive activation codes." As the transport carrying Queen Lena maneuvered closer to the massive ring structure, the Nexus Gate began to pulse with energy. Its center shimmered, the fabric of space-time visibly distorting as the activation sequence commenced. Suddenly, alarms blared across every ship and station in the vicinity. Commander Volkov's voice cut through the chaos. "Admiral, the failsafe has triggered. We have a massive energy surge heading towards the Nexus Gate." In that moment, as multiple alien technologies collided in an unprecedented cosmic event, the fate of humanity's future in the galaxy hung in the balance. The Nexus Gate's activation, the Hazari failsafe, and the modified superweapon created a maelstrom of energy that threatened to engulf everything in its path. Admiral Steele's voice, calm despite the chaos, issued one final command. "Captain Donovan, activate the superweapon now. All ships, brace for impact." As the opposing forces of alien technology clashed in the void of space, a blinding flash of light erupted from the Nexus Gate, temporarily overwhelming all sensors and communications. In the deafening silence that followed, the crews of Earth ships held their breath, waiting to see what new reality would emerge from this cosmic crucible. The blinding flash faded, revealing a scene of cosmic chaos. The Nexus Gate pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its center now a swirling vortex of impossible hues. Admiral Steele's voice crackled through the comm systems, breaking the stunned silence. "Status report. All ships." Before anyone could respond, a violent shudder rocked the fleet. The gate's energy output had increased exponentially, creating a gravitational field that pulled at the surrounding vessels. Smaller Hazari and Earth ships struggled against the inexorable force, their engines straining to maintain position. Colonel Elena Volkov's fingers flew across her tactical display. "All ships, this is Colonel Volkov. Activate emergency protocols. Larger vessels, deploy tractor beams to assist the smaller craft." The EFS Athena's advanced tractor beam arrays sprang to life, locking onto the nearest imperiled ships. Volkov watched the screen intently as her crew worked to retrieve the endangered vessels. Her face hardened in concentration. On the bridge of the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins felt the deck plates vibrate beneath his feet as the ship's systems struggled against the gate's pull. Ambassador Zaxalor's scales rippled with a kaleidoscope of colors, his alien eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. Collins made a split-second decision. "Helm, full power to engines. Get us clear of that vortex." The Nemesis's newly upgraded propulsion systems roared to life, pushing the ship to its structural limits. Metal groaned and alarms blared as the vessel fought against the gate's gravitational field. Slowly, agonizingly, the Nemesis began to pull away from the event horizon. In the hidden Hazari outpost, Commander Alexei Volkov and his team battled to maintain control of the facility systems. Consoles sparked and alien machinery hummed at dangerous frequencies as the energy surge overwhelmed their safeguards. "Sir," one of Volkov's technicians called out, "I'm detecting a hidden chamber nearby. The energy readings are off the charts." Volkov nodded grimly. "Lead the way. The rest of you, focus on keeping life support online." As they made their way through the twisting corridors, The outpost shuddered around them. Volkov and his team entered the hidden chamber, their eyes widening at the sight of a massive data core pulsing with light. "This must contain their entire database," Volkov breathed. "Start the download immediately. We can't let this information be lost." Back at the Nexus Gate, the transport carrying Queen Lena bucked wildly in the gravitational turbulence. Inside, the Hazari leader saw her opportunity. With practiced ease, she slipped her restraints and lunged for the nearest control panel. The human guards reacted instantly, but Lena was faster. Her mandibles clicked rapidly as she input a series of commands, overriding the ship's systems. Before anyone could stop her, she transmitted a coded message through the gate. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Steele's command center erupted into chaos as new alerts flooded in. Long-range sensors detected multiple objects emerging from the far side of the stabilized wormhole. A fleet of ships unlike anything they had encountered before. Steele's voice cut through the noise. "Initiate Protocol Omega. Get me Major Sarah Chen immediately." As Earth's forces scrambled to respond to this new development, Captain Eric Donovan noticed something strange about the Hazari superweapon. The device pulsed with an eerie rhythm, seeming to resonate with the energy signature of the approaching alien fleet. "Admiral," Donovan reported, "the superweapon is reacting to the new arrivals. There might be a connection between their technologies." Steele absorbed this information, his mind racing through potential scenarios. The situation was growing more complex by the second. He turned to his communications officer. "Get me a secure line to the Arcsur delegation." On the bridge of the Nemesis, Ambassador Zaxlor received the transmission. His multifaceted eyes narrowed as he listened to Steele's words. "Lieutenant Collins," Zaxlor said, his voice uncharacteristically solemn, "please inform your admiral that the Arcsur are prepared to offer a temporary alliance. The arrival of this unknown force changes everything. We must stand together if we hope to survive." As Collins relayed this unexpected offer, Dr. Alan Reeves made a breakthrough in decrypting the alien transmission detected earlier. His face paled as he read the message's contents. "Admiral," Reeves said, his voice shaking, "we have a problem. The transmission warns of something called the Swarm, an unstoppable force consuming everything in its path, and it's heading our way." The solar system now teetered on the brink of a cosmic storm. The expanded Nexus Gate swirled with unknown potential, the mysterious alien fleet approached with uncertain intentions, and the shadow of the Swarm loomed on the horizon. In this moment of crisis, the fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Admiral Steele stood at the center of Earth's command hub, his expression resolute as he prepared to make decisions that would shape the future of his species. The next moves would be critical, and there was no room for error. There was no room for error in this critical moment. "Initiate Protocol Omega," Steele commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around him. "And get me Major Sarah Chen immediately." As Earth's forces scrambled to respond to the new developments, Admiral Steele's mind raced through a series of strategic moves. He turned to his communications officer. Willpower etched on his face. "Deploy the quantum encryption system," he ordered. "Secure all communications between our forces. We can't risk another unauthorized transmission like Queen Lena's." The officer nodded, fingers flying across his console as he implemented the new security measures. Across the fleet, communication channels flickered and stabilized, now protected by an impenetrable wall of quantum encryption. On board the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins surveyed the damage caused by their narrow escape from the wormhole's pull. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the acrid smell of burnt circuitry filled the air. "Engineering, reroute power to the advanced sensor array," Collins called out. "We need to get a clear picture of what we're dealing with out there." As the ship's systems reconfigured, the sensor data began to pour in. Collins leaned forward, his eyes widening as he studied the readings. "Sir," he reported to Admiral Steele, "the new fleet, their ships are like nothing we've ever seen. They appear to be biomechanical in nature, completely different from Hazari or Arcsur technology." In the hidden Hazari outpost, Commander Alexei Volkov and his team worked feverishly to extract the massive data core they'd discovered. The chamber hummed with energy, alien symbols flickering across holographic displays. "Careful with those quantum storage devices," Volkov warned, as his team carefully disconnected the core. "That data is our key to understanding the Nexus Gate, and who knows what else." The team moved with practiced precision, their movements a coordinated dance as they secured the priceless alien knowledge. Meanwhile, Captain Eric Donovan's breakthrough with the HFY superweapon sent ripples of excitement through the scientific community. He stood before a holographic representation of the device, its energy signature pulsing in sync with data from the unknown fleet. "Admiral," Donovan reported, his voice tinged with excitement and apprehension, "the superweapon is resonating with specific frequencies emitted by the new ships. They share some kind of technological basis." Steele absorbed this information, his mind already formulating potential strategies. "Good work, Captain. This could be the edge we need." On Earth, a flurry of activity surrounded the newly christened HFY emissary. Major Sarah Chen strode up the ship's ramp, her team of experts following close behind. The vessel hummed with cutting-edge technology, designed specifically for this moment of first contact. As the emissary lifted off, Earth's planetary defense grid sprang to life. Orbital platforms pivoted, their weapon systems charging with reverse-engineered HFY technology. Ground-based installations emerged from hidden bunkers, a clear message to any potential aggressors. Colonel Elena Volkov's voice crackled over the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, implement Aegis Protocol, form up and prepare for dynamic defense maneuvers." The Earth fleet moved with fluid grace, smaller ships weaving between their larger counterparts in an ever-shifting defensive screen around the Nexus Gate. On the bridge of the EFS Nemesis, now designated as the Forward Command Center, Lieutenant Collins coordinated with Colonel Volkov's fleet and Commander Alexei Volkov's ground team. The ship's holographic displays flickered with constant updates from across the solar system. Ambassador Zaxalor approached Collins, his scales shifting in patterns that the lieutenant had come to recognize as concern. "Lieutenant, I have information about the new arrivals. They are known as the Zenari, a highly advanced but xenophobic species. Their presence here is troubling." Collins relayed this information to Admiral Steele, feeling the weight of the situation grow heavier with each passing moment. As the EFS emissary approached the Zenari fleet, the Nexus Gate suddenly flared with energy. The massive ring began to rotate slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Gravitational waves rippled outward, buffeting nearby ships. "All vessels, brace for impact," Colonel Volkov's voice rang out. "Adjust your positions to compensate for gravitational distortions." The Earth fleet's ships danced through space, their advanced propulsion systems straining against the gate's pull. On the emissary, Major Chen gripped her command chair, watching as the Zenari ships grew larger in the view screen. Back on Earth, Admiral Steele made a decision. "Initiate Protocol Prometheus," he ordered, his voice grim. Across the solar system, hidden installations stirred to life. Automated defense platforms, concealed on asteroids and moons, powered up their systems. Earth's last line of defense stood ready, a testament to humanity's grit to survive in a hostile universe. As the situation teetered on the brink of chaos, the data extracted from the HFY outpost began to yield its secrets. Commander Alexei Volkov's voice crackled over the comm system, filled with a mixture of awe and urgency. "Admiral, we've uncovered information about the Nexus Gate's creators, an ancient civilization far more advanced than anything we've encountered. But there are warnings here about the dangers of misusing the gate." Steele absorbed this information, knowing it could be the key to navigating the complex web of alien politics and technology now converging in Earth's solar system. With the Zenari fleet looming before them, the destabilized Nexus Gate behind them, and the ever-present threat of the swarm on the horizon, Earth's defenders stood at the precipice of a new era. The next moves would determine not just humanity's fate, but potentially that of multiple civilizations caught in the crossfire of an ancient cosmic conflict. Major Chen's voice cut through the tension. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Zenari fleet. They're requesting to open a dialogue." Steele took a deep breath, knowing his next words would shape the course of human history. "Very well, Major. Let's hear what they have to say." to say. Admiral Steele nodded to Major Chen, his face a mask of calm grit. Proceed with caution, Major. We're entering uncharted territory. Major Sarah Chen took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the communications console of the EFS emissary. The sleek diplomatic vessel hung in space, dwarfed by the massive Zanari ships looming before them. With a final glance at her team, Chen activated the ship's advanced translation systems. This is Major Sarah Chen of the Earth Federation Ship Emissary. We come in peace and wish to open a dialogue with your people. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Then a deep, resonant voice crackled through the speakers, accompanied by a series of clicks and whistles that the translation system struggled to interpret. I am Krelzak, commander of the Zanari Vanguard. We have traversed great distances to reach you, humans of Earth. Our need is dire, and our purpose urgent. Chen leaned forward, her heart racing. We're listening, Commander Krelzak. What brings you to our system? The Zanari commander's voice took on a grave tone. We seek an alliance against a threat that endangers us all. The Swarm. Our xenophobic reputation is not unfounded, but necessity has driven us to reach out. We possess crucial information about this enemy, but we require something in return. As Chen engaged in this delicate diplomatic dance, activity erupted across the solar system. On Earth's lunar base, alarms blared through the detention center holding Queen Lena. Security Chief Ramirez burst into Admiral Steele's command center, his face pale. Sir, we've detected a hidden biotech implant in the Hazari Queen. It's transmitting data through the Nexus Gate. Steele's eyes narrowed. Damn it. Get me Dr. Marcus Hawthorne immediately. We need that implant neutralized without harming our prisoner. Within minutes, Dr. Hawthorne, a brilliant xenobiologist with salt and pepper hair and piercing green eyes, was assembling a team for the delicate operation. As they prepared to depart for the lunar base, Hawthorne turned to Steele. Admiral, this implant could be our key to understanding Hazari biotech. I'll do my best to preserve its functionality while stopping the transmission. Steele nodded grimly. Do what you must, Doctor. Just make sure that implant stops compromising our position. Meanwhile, aboard the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins frowned at his sensor readings. The Orcs ships were emitting strange energy fluctuations, patterns that set off warning bells in his mind. Ensign Taylor, power up our new weapon systems, Collins ordered quietly. Keep it discreet. I don't want to alarm our guests. As the Nemesis hummed with hidden power, Commander Alexei Volkov and his team in the Hazari outpost faced a new crisis. The ancient data core was secured, but as they prepared to evacuate, the station around them began to shift and reconfigure. What the hell? Volkov muttered as walls retracted and new corridors appeared. His eyes widened as a massive energy cannon emerged, its barrel aimed directly at the Nexus Gate. Team, prep for immediate evac. We need to report this to Admiral Steele now. Back on Earth, Captain Eric Donovan's hands flew over his console, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. The modified Hazari superweapon pulsed with new life, emitting a frequency that perfectly matched the biomechanical signature of the Zanari ships. Admiral, Donovan reported, excitement evident in his voice, we've done it. This weapon can disrupt the Zanari ship's systems. If negotiations fail, we have a trump card. Steele acknowledged the report, his mind racing with the strategic implications. But before he could fully process this new advantage, Colonel William Stryker's voice cut through the command center. Admiral, we have multiple atmospheric entries. Debris from the wormhole, sir, carrying unknown tech. Permission to deploy the Rapid Response Force? Granted, Colonel. Secure those crash sites. We can't risk that tech falling into civilian hands. As Earth's forces mobilized to face these new challenges, the Nexus Gate's energy levels continued to spike. Colonel Elena Volkov's voice crackled over the comms, strained and urgent. All ships, adjust formation. The gravitational waves are intensifying. We've lost 2 frigates already. Admiral Steele's teeth gritted as he watched the fleet struggle against the gate's growing power. With a heavy sigh, he turned to his second-in-command. Initiate Project Sentinel. It's time to bring our hidden defenses online. Deep in the asteroid belt, dormant systems stirred to life. A network of AI-controlled platforms activated, their powerful sensors sweeping across the solar system and beyond, searching for any sign of the swarm or other threats. As these events unfolded, Major Chen's negotiations with the Zanari took an unexpected turn. Krelzak's next words sent a chill through the emissary's bridge. "We offer crucial intelligence on the swarm's hive mind structure and potential weaknesses," the alien commander stated. "In exchange, we require access to your Nexus Gate and the Hazari technology you've acquired." Chen's mind raced, weighing the potential benefits against the enormous risk. "Commander Krelzak, I'll need to consult with my superiors before—" Her words were cut short as Dr. Alan Reeves's voice burst through the ship's speakers. "Major Chen, Admiral Steele, we've made a breakthrough with the ancient data. There's mention of something called the Cosmic Keystone hidden in our solar system. It might be the key to controlling the Nexus Gate and stopping the swarm." As this new information reverberated through Earth's command structure, the solar system teetered on the edge of chaos. Multiple alien factions converged, hidden powers emerged, and the threat of the swarm loomed ever closer. In the center of it all, humanity stood at a crossroads, its actions in the coming moments poised to shape the future of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. As Major Chen processed this flood of information, her comm unit buzzed with an urgent transmission from Admiral Steele. She excused herself from the Zanari commander and stepped aside, her heart racing. "Major, we've uncovered a critical development," Steele's voice crackled through the secure channel. "A hidden biotech implant has been discovered in Queen Lena. Use this information in your negotiations with the Zanari. Suggest that we possess advanced capabilities in detecting and neutralizing alien technology. It might give us an edge." Chen's mind raced, quickly formulating a new strategy. She turned back to the view screen, where Commander Krelzak awaited her response. "Commander," she began, her voice steady and confident, "before we proceed with any exchange of information or technology, I must inform you that Earth's defenses are far more sophisticated than you might realize. We've recently neutralized a highly advanced biotech implant in a high-ranking alien prisoner, demonstrating our capability to detect and counter even the most subtle forms of technological intrusion." Krelzak's expression shifted, a series of rapid color changes rippling across his face. Chen couldn't read the alien's emotions, but she sensed a newfound wariness in his posture. Meanwhile, on the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne and his team worked feverishly in a sterile operating theater. Queen Lena lay unconscious on the table, surrounded by an array of advanced medical equipment. "Initiating targeted electromagnetic pulse," Dr. Hawthorne announced, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. A soft hum filled the room as the pulse generator activated. Nanoscale surgical probes delicately maneuvered within the Hazari Queen's neural pathways, guided by real-time holographic projections. Sweat beaded on Hawthorne's forehead as he directed the intricate procedure. "Implant located," a technician called out. "Commencing neutralization sequence." The room held its breath as the nanoprobes engaged the alien device. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, with a faint crackle of energy, the implant went dark. Queen Lena's eyes snapped open, her pupils dilating rapidly. She gasped, her body arching off the table. "Vital signs stabilizing," another technician reported. "Brain activity normalizing." As the medical team monitored her recovery, Queen Lena's gaze darted around the room, a new clarity in her eyes. For the first time since her capture, she seemed truly present. The fog of external control lifted from her mind. Back at the Nexus Gate, Commander Alexei Volkov and his team raced through the shifting corridors of the Hazari outpost. The newly revealed energy cannon loomed before them, its massive barrel aimed at the gate. "Find those control panels," Volkov barked, his eyes scanning the alien architecture. "We need to shut this thing down before it fires." His team spread out, searching frantically. Specialist Zhang called out from a nearby alcove. "Commander, I think I've found something." Volkov rushed over, finding Zhang in front of a complex array of crystalline structures and pulsing light patterns. His mind struggled to make sense of the alien interface. "It's some kind of fail-safe mechanism," Volkov muttered, his fingers hovering over the controls. But the sequence, it's based on mathematical principles I've never seen before. As Volkov wrestled with the alien mathematics, alarms blared across the EFS nemesis. Lieutenant Chris Collins snapped to attention, his eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. "Energy spike from the Orcs ships," he shouted. "Weapons charging." Collins didn't hesitate. "Activate shields! All hands! Battle stations!" The nemesis hummed to life, its newly upgraded defensive systems powering up just as the Orcs vessels unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. Brilliant beams of light slammed into the ship's shields, scattering harmlessly into space. "Shields holding," an ensign reported. "But, sir, the Orcs are moving to surround us." Collins gritted his teeth, realizing the sudden betrayal had caught them off guard. "Send an alert to the fleet. The Orcs are hostile. Repeat, the Orcs are hostile." On Earth, Captain Eric Donovan received the transmission with a mix of anger and grim satisfaction. He'd never trusted the Orcs, and now his suspicions were confirmed. "Recalibrate the weapon," Donovan ordered his team. "Target the Orcs ships, but maintain capability against the Zanari. We don't know who to trust out there." The modified Hazari superweapon hummed with power as technicians scrambled to adjust its targeting parameters. Donovan watched the space battle unfold on his monitors, his hand hovering over the firing controls. Colonel William Stryker's voice crackled over the comms. "This is Stryker. We've secured the crash sites, but we're encountering resistance from local criminal elements, requesting immediate backup." Stryker ducked behind the twisted wreckage of an alien hull fragment as gunfire erupted around him. His rapid response force had established a perimeter around the crash sites, but the value of the alien tech had drawn unwanted attention. "Delta Team, reinforce the eastern flank," Stryker barked into his radio. "We cannot let this technology fall into the wrong hands." As battles raged across Earth and space, the newly activated Sentinel network detected a faint but unmistakable energy signature at the edge of the solar system. Deep in the command center, an AI subroutine flagged the reading and sent an urgent alert to Admiral Steele. Steele's face paled as he read the report. The swarm was no longer a distant threat. It was here, at the fringes of their star system, and closing fast. As he processed this grim news, a junior officer approached with another update. "Sir, Queen Lena is awake and requesting an audience. She says she has critical information about Hazari military strategies and other alien races." Steele nodded, his mind racing with the implications of this unexpected development. "Tell her I'll speak with her shortly. In the meantime, get me a secure line to Major Chen. We need to accelerate our negotiations with the Zanari." The Admiral turned back to the holographic display of the solar system, watching as the chaos unfolded across multiple fronts. Earth's forces were now engaged in a complex dance of combat and diplomacy, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. As the Orcs ships pressed their attack and the Zanari waited in tense silence, Steele made a decision. He activated a hidden protocol within the Sentinel network, and across the solar system, AI-controlled platforms began to form a massive energy shield around Earth and its moon. It was a last-ditch defensive measure, one that would strain the planet's resources to their limit. But as the shield flickered into existence, Steele allowed himself a moment of hope. They had bought themselves time. Now they just had to make the most of it. The shield was a temporary measure, but it would give them the precious moments they needed to execute their next move. Admiral Steele's fingers flew across his console, inputting a series of complex codes. He took a deep breath, then pressed the final key. "Activate Operation Thunderbolt," he commanded. Deep within the dwarf planet, Ceres' hidden hangar bays began to open. Massive doors slid apart, revealing row upon row of sleek advanced warships. Engines ignited, filling the cavernous space with a low rumble that grew to a deafening roar. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Lydia Hawkins gripped the arms of her command chair. "All ships, this is Hawkins. Launch sequence initiated. Form up on me and prepare for combat operations." The secret armada erupted from Ceres like a swarm of angry hornets, their hulls gleaming in the pale sunlight. As they streaked towards the ongoing battle, both Arcsur and Zanari sensors lit up with urgent warnings. Colonel Elena Volkov's eyes widened as she saw the incoming fleet on her tactical display. Admiral, I'm seeing hundreds of new contacts. Are those ours? They are indeed, Colonel, Steele replied, a hint of pride in his voice. Integrate them into your battle formations. Let's show these Orcs what humanity is truly capable of. Volkov wasted no time. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface, issuing rapid-fire orders to both her existing ships and the newcomers. The Earth fleet, now vastly outnumbering their Arcsur opponents, surged forward in a coordinated assault. Arcsur ships, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of so many powerful adversaries, began to break formation. Their carefully planned attack dissolved into chaos as Earth's combined fleet hammered them from multiple angles. "Push them back!" Volkov shouted, her voice carrying over the comm channels. "Don't let them regroup." On board the EFS Nemesis, Lieutenant Chris Collins watched in awe as the tide of battle shifted dramatically. "Status report," he barked. "Sir, the Arcsur fleet is in full retreat," an ensign replied. "They're making for the outer system. Our new ships they're incredible. We're barely taking any damage." As the space battle raged, a lone ship slipped silently through the asteroid belt. The EFS Shadow, a stealth vessel designed for covert operations, navigated the treacherous field of space debris with practiced ease. Commander John Blackwood stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. "Any sign of the Keystone?" he asked his science officer. "Nothing definitive yet, sir," Lieutenant Park replied, "but I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from a cluster of asteroids about 50,000 kilometers ahead." Blackwood nodded, his mind racing with the implications of Dr. Reeves's decoded data. The cosmic keystone could be the key to controlling the Nexus Gate and stopping the swarm. They had to find it before... "Commander," Park's voice cut through his thoughts. "I'm picking up a faint distress signal. It's coming from a nearby asteroid, not far off our current heading." Blackwood frowned, weighing his options. Every moment they delayed brought the swarm closer to Earth, but the signal could be coming from allies, or even relate to the keystone itself. "Helm, adjust course," he decided. "We'll do a quick flyby of the signal source. Be ready to resume our original heading at a moment's notice." As the shadow altered its trajectory, Blackwood couldn't shake the feeling that their mission was about to take an unexpected turn. Back on the lunar base, Queen Lena sat up in her medical bed, her eyes clear and alert for the first time since her capture. Dr. Marcus Hawthorne stood nearby, monitoring her vital signs. "How are you feeling, Your Majesty?" he asked cautiously. Lena flexed her fingers, as if testing her own body. "I feel free," she said softly. "The constant whispers, the compulsions, they're gone." Before Hawthorne could respond, the door slid open, revealing Admiral Steele. The Admiral's face was grim, but there was a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Queen Lena," he said, inclining his head slightly, "I understand you have information that could be vital to our current situation." Lena nodded, her posture straightening. "Indeed, Admiral, there is much you need to know about the inner workings of the Hazari Empire, and about a group that may prove to be powerful allies in the coming conflict." As Lena began to speak, Steele listened intently. The revelation of a peace-seeking faction within the Hazari Empire could change everything. He made a mental note to contact Major David Xiang as soon as this meeting concluded. If they could establish contact with this Kronthar and his followers, it might give them a crucial advantage. Meanwhile, at the Nexus Gate, Commander Alexei Volkov's fingers flew over the alien controls, his brow furrowed in concentration. The fail-safe mechanism was unlike anything he'd ever encountered, its logic based on mathematical principles that seemed to defy conventional understanding. "Come on," he muttered, inputting another sequence. The crystals pulsed, rearranging themselves in response to his commands. He was close, he could feel it. Suddenly, a holographic display sprang to life, filling the air with streams of alien data. Volkov's eyes widened as he realized what he was seeing. It's a historical record," he breathed. "Encounters with the swarm, dating back millions of years. This could be the key to defeating them." As Volkov began to download the precious data, alarms blared throughout the outpost. The energy cannon was powering up, its massive barrel glowing with building power. Time was running out. On Earth, Colonel William Stryker ducked behind a makeshift barricade, plasma bolts sizzling overhead. The criminal organizations vying for the alien tech had proven to be better armed and more numerous than anticipated. "Delta Team, what's your status?" He barked into his comm unit. Static crackled, then a distorted voice came through. "Colonel, we've lost contact with half the squad. Some kind of energy field is disrupting our comms. We can't—" The transmission cut off abruptly. Stryker cursed, realizing the situation was spiraling out of control. They needed to adapt, and fast. "All units, fall back to defensive positions," he ordered. "Prepare for close-quarters combat. We hold this line at all costs." As Stryker's forces regrouped, the Sentinel network detected a new threat. Near the orbit of Neptune, energy signatures unlike anything seen before began to appear. The AI systems quickly analyzed the data, reaching a chilling conclusion. In the command center, a junior officer approached Admiral Steele with the report. "Sir, we have confirmation. Swarm scout ships have entered the solar system." Steele's eyebrows furrowed. They were out of time. He opened a channel to Captain Eric Donovan. "Captain, initiate Operation Firewall. Use the Hazari superweapon to create an energy barrier at the system's edge. We need to buy ourselves more time." As Donovan's team began the complex process of recalibrating the weapon, Major Sarah Chen found herself face-to-face with the Zanari commander, Krelzak. The alien's compound eyes fixed on her, unblinking. "Major Chen," Krelzak's translator conveyed, "recent events have made it clear that our peoples must stand together. We offer an exchange, our biotechnology, specifically designed to combat the swarm, for access to your Nexus Gate research and a share in the Cosmic Keystone's power." Chen hesitated, knowing the weight of this decision. As she prepared to respond, the Nexus Gate behind them flared with intense light, its energy fluctuations growing more violent by the moment. The battle for Earth's future was entering its most critical phase. With the swarm approaching, alliances shifting, and the mysterious Cosmic Keystone still beyond their grasp, humanity's path forward remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. The next few hours would determine the fate of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. Galaxy. As Admiral Steele contemplated the gravity of their situation, his comm unit crackled to life. Commander John Blackwood's voice came through, tense but controlled. "Admiral, this is Blackwood. We found it." Steele's eyes widened. "The Keystone?" "Affirmative, sir. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." In the asteroid belt, the EFS Shadow hovered near a nondescript chunk of space rock. Commander Blackwood stood in the ship's airlock, his eyes fixed on the pulsating crystalline structure before him. The Cosmic Keystone, approximately 2 meters long, emitted a soft, otherworldly glow that seemed to shift and dance across its faceted surface. "Begin extraction," Blackwood ordered. "Use extreme caution." 2 crew members in specialized containment suits approached the Keystone, wielding devices designed to handle unstable alien tech. As they activated the extraction field, the crystal's pulsations intensified. Suddenly, the Keystone released a burst of energy that rippled through space. Blackwood stumbled, catching himself on the airlock frame. "Status report," he barked. "Energy pulse detected, sir," his science officer replied. "It's— oh no." "What is it?" "The pulse was picked up by the Orcs and Zanari fleets. They're mobilizing intercept teams." Blackwood's eyebrows furrowed. "Get that Keystone on board now. We need to move." Back in the command center, Admiral Steele processed this new information rapidly. He opened a channel to Colonel Elena Volkov. "Colonel, the Shadow has secured the Keystone. Deploy our stealth fighters to escort them back to Earth. Expect heavy resistance." Volkov's reply was immediate. "Understood, Admiral. Scrambling fighters now." As Earth's most advanced stealth craft surged toward the asteroid belt, activity erupted across the solar system. Orcs and Zanari ships broke formation, racing to intercept the Shadow. On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne hunched over a console, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. Queen Lena sat nearby, her eyes closed in concentration. "This is incredible," Hawthorne muttered. "The amount of data in this implant—" Lena's eyes snapped open. "You've broken the encryption?" "Partially," Hawthorne replied. "But what I'm seeing, it could change everything. Detailed schematics of Hazari ships, weapon capabilities, even psychological profiles of key military leaders." As Hawthorne continued his work, Captain Eric Donovan stood before the massive control panel of the modified Hazari superweapon. He took a deep breath, then activated the final sequence. At the edge of the solar system, a shimmering wall of energy materialized. The barrier stretched vast distances, creating a translucent shield around Earth's cosmic neighborhood. Donovan allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction, but it was short-lived. Alarms blared as the first wave of swarm scouts impacted the barrier. "Multiple impacts detected," his second-in-command shouted. "The barrier is holding, but they're probing for weaknesses." Donovan's hands flew over the controls, adjusting frequencies and power distribution. "Keep it stable," he ordered. "We need to buy time for the shadow to return with the keystone." On Earth, Colonel William Stryker crouched behind an overturned vehicle, plasma fire sizzling overhead. The crash site before him was a scene of chaos. Debris floated lazily through the air, caught in a localized anti-gravity field generated by an activated alien artifact. "This is Stryker," he growled into his comm. "We need zero-G units here now. The situation is FUBAR." As if in response, a sleek transport ship appeared overhead. Figures in specialized combat suits dropped from its belly, maneuvering effortlessly through the zero-gravity zone. Stryker nodded in grim satisfaction. "All right, people. Let's show these criminals how we fight in 3 dimensions." At the Nexus gate, Commander Alexei Volkov stared in disbelief as the massive energy cannon powered up, drawing directly from the gate itself. "Sir," one of his techs called out, "I'm detecting a power buildup unlike anything we've seen before. It's like the whole outpost is coming alive." Volkov's mind raced. This isn't just a cannon, he realized aloud. It's part of an integrated defense system. The gate, the outpost, the cannon, they're all connected. As understanding dawned, the implications sent a chill down his spine. They weren't just dealing with a transportation network. The Nexus Gate was a fortress, designed to stand against threats like the Swarm. In orbit around Mars, the EFS Shadow weaved through a hail of enemy fire. Colonel Volkov's stealth fighters engaged the pursuing Argzur and Hazari ships, their advanced technology allowing them to seemingly appear and disappear at will. Inside the Shadow's hold, the cosmic keystone pulsed with increasing intensity. Commander Blackwood felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up as he gazed at the artifact. "We're almost there," he muttered. "Just hold together a little longer." As battles raged across the solar system and the Swarm pressed against the energy barrier, Admiral Steele knew their window of opportunity was rapidly closing. He opened a channel to all Earth forces. "This is Admiral Steele. The next few hours will determine the fate of our world. Stand fast, hold the line, and may God be with us all." With that, he turned his attention to the holographic display of the solar system. The cosmic keystone was racing home, carrying with it humanity's best hope for survival. But with the Swarm's main fleet materializing near Uranus, Steele knew the real battle was only just beginning. The real battle was indeed just beginning. As Admiral Steele contemplated Earth's precarious position, a series of urgent alerts flashed across his command console. The space around Mars had erupted into chaos. Colonel Elena Volkov's voice crackled through the comm. "Admiral, we've engaged the enemy. The Shadow is under heavy fire." Steele's heart made as he watched the holographic display. The EFS Shadow weaved through a storm of energy beams, its hull flickering with each near miss. Commander Blackwood's voice cut through the static, strained but determined. "This is Shadow. We've sustained damage to our port thrusters, implementing evasive pattern Delta 3. The Shadow's trajectory became erratic, narrowly avoiding a barrage of Arcsur missiles. Volkov's stealth fighters swarmed around the larger ship, their advanced cloaking technology allowing them to appear and disappear at will, confounding the enemy targeting systems. "All units, protect the Shadow at all costs," Volkov ordered. Her fighters executed a series of daring maneuvers, drawing fire away from Blackwood's damaged vessel. Admiral Steele surveyed the battlefield, his mind racing through potential strategies. His gaze settled on a flashing icon representing Earth's hidden trump card. "It's time," he muttered, then opened a secure channel. "This is Admiral Steele. Activate Project Blackout." Deep within the asteroid, Ceres, a massive electromagnetic pulse weapon, hummed to life. Its capacitors charged, drawing power from the very core of the dwarf planet. With a blinding flash, the weapon discharged, sending a wave of electromagnetic energy rippling through space. The effect was immediate and devastating. Orcs and Rogue Hazari ships alike suddenly went dark, their systems overloaded by the pulse. Volkov seized the opportunity. "All fighters, form up on the shadow. We're punching through their lines." The stealth fighters coalesced around the damaged Earth ship, creating a protective barrier as they pushed towards their home planet. However, their path was far from clear. A group of Zenari vessels materialized directly in their flight path, weapons charged. Aboard the lead Zenari ship, Major Sarah Chen faced Commander Krelzak, her expression a mask of calm commitment. "It seems your people have chosen a side, Commander." Krelzak's compound eyes flickered. "The cosmic keystone is too powerful to be controlled by any single species." Chen's mind raced, weighing her options. "And what if we were to offer you something even more valuable? A way to combat the swarm itself?" On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne's fingers flew across his console, his eyes wide with excitement. "Admiral Steele, are you seeing this?" The Admiral's voice came through, tense but controlled. "What have you found, Doctor?" "The data from Queen Lena's implant. It's a goldmine. We've uncovered the swarm's biological weakness. They're vulnerable to a specific frequency of electromagnetic radiation. It disrupts their hive mind." Steele's response was immediate. "Relay that information to Captain Donovan. Have him recalibrate the Hazari superweapon immediately." As Donovan's team worked feverishly to adjust the massive energy cannon, alarms blared throughout Earth's defense network. The Sentinel AI's emotionless voice filled the command center. "Alert! Energy barrier breach detected. Swarm scout ships have entered the solar system." Steele's face hardened. "Activate the Jupiter and Saturn defense grids. We need to slow them down." Across the solar system, automated battle stations orbiting the gas giants roared to life, their weapons locked onto the approaching swarm scouts, filling space with a dazzling array of energy beams and missiles. On Earth, Colonel William Stryker ducked as a wave of energy washed over his position. The alien artifact they'd been attempting to secure pulsed with an otherworldly light, interfering with every piece of technology in the vicinity. "Stryker to command," he barked into his barely functioning comm unit. "We need Dr. Reeves here ASAP. This thing's going haywire." At the Nexus gate, Commander Alexei Volkov stared at the ancient console before him, his eyes wide with realization. "It's not just a transportation network," he breathed. "It's a weapon system, and the keystone, it's the final piece." As the EFS Shadow limped towards Earth, its hull scorched and systems failing, Commander Blackwood felt the cosmic keystone pulse with increasing intensity. Through the view screen, he could see the shimmering outline of Earth's new nanotech shield, a last line of defense against the encroaching swarm. The massive swarm fleet, now visible even to the naked eye, began its inexorable advance towards the inner planets. Millions of biomechanical ships moved in perfect unison, a tide of destruction unlike anything humanity had ever faced. Admiral Steele surveyed the unfolding battle, his expression grim but resolute. With a series of quick commands, he activated Earth's final hidden asset. Deep within the moons of Neptune, concealed shipyards roared to life, mass-producing combat drones at an unprecedented rate. As the drones poured forth from their hidden factories, their AI systems already adapting to the swarm's tactics, Steele opened a channel to all Earth forces. "This is it," he said, his voice steady. "Everything we've prepared for, everything we've sacrificed, it all comes down to this moment. The cosmic keystone is almost home. Hold the line." The solar system had become a massive three-dimensional chessboard with multiple factions vying for control. At the center of it all, the EFS Shadow carried humanity's best hope for survival. As Blackwood's damaged ship entered Earth's orbit, the crew could feel the weight of history upon them. The next few minutes would determine the fate of not just their world, but potentially the entire galaxy. The Shadow's damaged hull creaked as it entered Earth's orbit, the cosmic keystone pulsing with an otherworldly energy that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space-time. Suddenly, Commander Blackwood's comm crackled to life. Admiral Steele's voice came through, urgent and clear. "Blackwood, this is Steele. New orders. Divert to the Nexus Gate immediately." Blackwood's brow furrowed. "Sir, we're almost home." "New intelligence, Commander. The gate is crucial for activating the Keystone's full potential. We need you there now." "Understood, Admiral. Adjusting course." Blackwood's hands flew over the controls, plotting a new trajectory. He opened a channel to his escort. "Colonel Volkov, we've got a change of plans. Form up and prepare for a push to the Nexus Gate." The Shadow banked sharply, its engines straining as it pulled away from Earth's gravity well. Colonel Volkov's stealth fighters seamlessly adjusted their formation, surrounding the damaged ship in a protective cocoon. As they accelerated towards their new destination, chaos erupted near Jupiter. Swarm scout ships breached the outer defenses, engaging Earth's AI-controlled battle stations in a frenzied dogfight. The space around the gas giant became a maelstrom of energy weapons and explosions as swarms of combat drones poured forth from the stations. Admiral Steele watched the unfolding battle with unyielding commitment. "Sentinel, status report on the Jupiter engagement." The AI's emotionless voice filled the command center. "Swarm scouts demonstrating unprecedented adaptability. Learning curve exceeds previous projections by 37%. Estimate breach of Jupiter defense grid in 18 minutes. Steele's eyes sharp. He opened a channel to Earth's ground forces. "Colonel Stryker, this is Steele. The artifact situation?" Stryker's voice came through, tinged with static. "Under control, sir. Dr. Reeves came through with a containment device. We've neutralized the interference." "Good work. I need your team ready for potential ground invasion. The swarm's moving faster than anticipated." "Roger that, Admiral. We'll be ready." On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne's eyes widened as his console lit up with new data. "This is it," he whispered. His fingers flew across the holographic interface, synthesizing the information from Queen Lena's implant into a coherent whole. "Admiral Steele," he called out, his voice trembling with excitement. "We've got it. A biological weapon designed to disrupt the swarm's hive mind." Steele's response was immediate. "How soon can you have it ready for deployment?" "We're already mass-producing it, loading onto missiles now." "Excellent work, Doctor. Stand by for deployment orders." At the edge of the solar system, Captain Eric Donovan's hands danced over the controls of the modified Hazari superweapon. The massive cannon hummed as it recalibrated, aligning itself with the frequency discovered by Dr. Hawthorne. "Target locked," Donovan announced. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of concentrated energy lanced out from the cannon, striking the leading edge of the swarm fleet. The effect was immediate and visible. Hundreds of biomechanical ships suddenly lost cohesion, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. Donovan allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction, but it was short-lived. Within minutes, the swarm began to adapt, generating shields that absorbed the disruptive frequency. "Admiral," Donovan reported, "the effect is temporary. They're adapting faster than we can recalibrate." Steele's voice was grim but determined. "Understood, Captain. Keep firing. Every second we delay them counts." As the battle raged across the solar system, Major Sarah Chen stood face-to-face with Commander Krelzak aboard the Zanari flagship. The tension in the air was palpable. "You understand the terms of our agreement?" Chen asked, her voice steady. Krelzak's compound eyes flickered. "We provide our biotechnology to combat the swarm. In return, we share the power of the activated cosmic keystone." Chen nodded. "Then we have an accord." With a series of clicks and chirps, Krelzak issued orders to his fleet. The Zanari ships moved into formation alongside Earth's forces, creating a united front against the approaching swarm armada. At the Nexus Gate, Commander Alexei Volkov raced against time. He and his team spread out across the ancient structure, preparing the activation nodes for the Keystone's arrival. "All teams, report in," Volkov ordered, his voice echoing through the cavernous outpost. "Node Alpha, ready. Beta, standing by. Gamma, all systems go." Volkov nodded, his eyes fixed on the distant speck of light that was the approaching shadow. "Hold positions. We'll only get one shot at this." As the shadow neared the Nexus Gate, a group of rogue Hazari ships suddenly materialized, their weapons charged and ready. Colonel Volkov's stealth fighters immediately engaged, filling space with a dazzling array of energy beams. Inside the shadow, Commander Blackwood gripped the arms of his chair as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. "Evasive maneuvers," he shouted. "We can't let them stop us now." The shadow weaved through the barrage, its hull taking hit after hit. Warning lights flashed across Blackwood's console as systems began to fail. In a moment of desperation, Blackwood's hand hovered over the cosmic keystone. He hesitated for a split second, then made his decision. "Brace for impact," he yelled, before slamming his palm down on the artifact. A pulse of pure energy erupted from the shadow, washing over friend and foe alike. The Hazari ships went dark, their systems overloaded by the Keystone's power. As the shadow limped towards the Nexus Gate, the swarm's main fleet pushed past Saturn, engaging Earth's second line of defense. AI-controlled battle stations coordinated their attacks with waves of combat drones, creating a deadly gauntlet for the invading force. But the sheer number of swarm ships began to tell. Slowly, inexorably, they pushed through the defensive line, advancing towards the inner planets. In Earth's command center, Admiral Steele watched the holographic display with growing concern. He took a deep breath, then gave the order he'd hoped to avoid. "Initiate Operation Firewall. Activate the nanotech shield." Across the planet, hidden emitters roared to life. A shimmering barrier materialized around Earth, integrating seamlessly with existing defense systems to create a multi-layered protective shell. As the shadow finally reached the Nexus Gate, the cosmic keystone began to pulse with increasing intensity. Arcs of energy danced between the artifact and the ancient structure, creating a spectacular light show visible across the solar system. Commander Volkov's voice crackled over the comm. "Shadow, this is Nexus Control. We're ready to receive the keystone. Prepare for docking procedure." Blackwood guided his battered ship towards the designated coordinates, acutely aware that the fate of humanity now rested on their next actions. As the shadow locked into place, he could feel the keystone thrumming with power, eager to unleash its full potential. With Earth's defenses fully mobilized and the cosmic keystone in position, the stage was set for the final confrontation with the swarm. The next few moments would determine the future of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Galaxy. The shadow's docking clamps engaged with a resounding thud, securing the battered ship to the Nexus Gate. Commander Blackwood felt the cosmic keystone pulse in his hands, its energy intensifying with each passing second. "Nexus Control, Shadow is secure," Blackwood reported, his voice steady despite the tension coursing through him. "Proceeding with keystone transfer." Commander Volkov's voice crackled over the comm. "Understood, Shadow. We're ready to receive. Hurry, Commander. We don't have much time." Blackwood unstrapped himself from his seat, the keystone's ethereal glow illuminating the bridge. As he made his way through the ship's corridors, the artifact's energy grew more potent, creating a visible aura that seemed to bend the very fabric of reality around it. Outside, Colonel Elena Volkov's stealth fighters engaged in a deadly dance with swarm scouts that had broken through the outer defenses. The pilot's reflexes were pushed to their limits as they weaved through the massive structure of the Nexus Gate, energy beams and missiles crisscrossing the void. "Gamma 3 on your 6, Elena barked into her comm. Her fighter rolled sharply, unleashing a barrage of fire that shredded an incoming swarm vessel. Back on Earth, Admiral Steele's eyes narrowed as he watched the holographic display. The swarm's main fleet had pushed past Saturn, overwhelming Earth's second line of defense. AI-controlled battle stations and combat drones fought valiantly, but the sheer number of swarm ships was overwhelming. "Sir," a junior officer called out, her voice tense. The Saturn defense grid is collapsing. Estimate complete breach in 5 minutes. Steele's expression resolute. He took a deep breath, then gave the order. Initiate Operation Hidden Dagger. Deploy the Ceres fleet. Across the command center, officers sprang into action. Deep within the dwarf planet Ceres, a massive hangar bay began to open. Hundreds of advanced warships, hidden from both friend and foe, powered up their engines. Fleet Admiral Victor Graves stood on the bridge of his flagship, the EFS Indomitable. His weathered face set in unwavering determination as he addressed his fleet. This is it, people. Earth's last card. Let's make it count. The hidden fleet erupted from Ceres like a swarm of angry hornets, catching the flank of the alien armada completely by surprise. Graves' unconventional tactics immediately threw the swarm into disarray, creating a temporary reprieve for Earth's beleaguered defenses. On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne watched as the biological weapon missiles launched from the surface, streaking towards the swarm fleet. Godspeed, he whispered, knowing the fate of humanity could rest on the success of his creation. At the edge of the solar system, Captain Eric Donovan coordinated with Fleet Admiral Graves, aligning the Hazari superweapon with the hidden fleet's attack vector. Firing solution locked, Donovan reported. Engaging on your mark, Admiral. Fire, Graves commanded. The superweapon unleashed a devastating beam of energy, punching through the swarm's formation. The hidden fleet poured through the gap, their advanced weaponry tearing into the exposed flank of the alien armada. At the Nexus Gate, Commander Blackwood reached the central control platform, the cosmic keystone humming with power in his grasp. Commander Alexei Volkov and his team worked feverishly to complete the synchronization of the activation nodes. Final calibrations complete, Volkov announced, his fingers flying over the ancient console. Ready for keystone integration. Blackwood carefully placed the artifact into the designated receptacle. The moment it made contact, a surge of energy coursed through the entire structure. The massive ring of the Nexus Gate began to spin, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Arcs of energy shot out from the gate, connecting with Earth's nanotech shield and other defensive installations throughout the solar system. A vast, multi-layered grid of interlinked energy fields began to form, encompassing the entire inner solar system. On Earth, Colonel William Stryker received urgent reports of swarm drop pods breaching the upper atmosphere. All units, this is not a drill, he barked into his comm. Implement countermeasure Sigma. Defend those population centers at all costs. As the first skirmishes between Earth's ground forces and swarm infantry broke out in major cities, Major Sarah Chen coordinated with Commander Krelzak aboard the Zenari flagship. Their combined fleet executed a perfect pincer movement against a large swarm battle group approaching Mars, successfully dividing the alien formation. Now, Commander, Chen called out, hit them with everything you've got. The Zenari ships unleashed a barrage of bioengineered weaponry, their attacks perfectly synchronized with Earth's more conventional firepower. The divided swarm forces found themselves caught in a deadly crossfire. Back at the lunar base, Queen Lena's eyes widened as she sensed a shift in the swarm's tactics. The central control ship, she said urgently to her guards. You must inform your leaders. It coordinates the entire fleet. Destroy it, and the swarm will fall into chaos. The intelligence was quickly relayed to Admiral Steele, who recognized it as a potential turning point. All forces, he broadcast on a secure channel. New primary target identified. Converge on these coordinates. As the Nexus Gate reached full power, it emitted a massive pulse that rippled across the solar system. For a brief moment, the swarm's hive-mind connection faltered, causing confusion among their forces. Admiral Steele seized the opportunity. This is our chance, he announced to all Earth and Allied forces. All units, execute Operation Guillotine. Take out that control ship. The combined might of humanity and their alien allies surged forward, focusing their assault on the heart of the swarm invasion. The fate of Earth and the entire solar system hung in the balance as the battle reached its climax. As Admiral Steele's order echoed across the solar system, a surge of focused energy swept through Earth's forces and their allies. The hidden fleet, led by Fleet Admiral Victor Graves, took point in the daring assault on the swarm control ship. Graves' voice rang out clear and confident over the fleet-wide comm. All ships, form up on me. We're going in hot and heavy. Wedge formation, 3-dimensional. Heaviest armor at the tip. We're going to punch right through their defenses. The fleet responded with practiced precision, arranging itself into a massive 3-dimensional arrowhead. The formation's tip bristled with the most heavily armored ships, their hulls scarred but unyielding. At the Nexus Gate, Commander Blackwood and Commander Volkov worked feverishly at the central control platform. The cosmic keystone pulsed with otherworldly energy, sending waves of disruption through the swarm's hive mind. "John, look at this," Volkov called out, his fingers dancing across the ancient console. "If we modulate the frequency..." There! A holographic display lit up, showing localized areas of chaos within the swarm fleet. Blackwood's eyes widened. "We can create weak points for our forces to exploit. Alex, you're a genius." Volkov allowed himself a grim smile. "Let's just hope it's enough." On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne frowned at the incoming data from the first wave of biological weapon missiles. "Partial success," he muttered, turning to his team. "The swarm's adapting faster than we anticipated. We need to start work on a second-generation virus immediately." His team sprang into action, their fingers flying over keyboards and holographic interfaces as they raced against time. In the void of space, Captain Eric Donovan gripped the controls of the modified Hazari superweapon. "Fleet Admiral Graves, this is Donovan. I've recalibrated the weapon to emit a wide-spectrum energy beam. On your mark, I'll punch a hole through their defenses." "Understood, Captain," Graves responded. "All ships, prepare to move on my command." The massive energy weapon hummed to life, its power building to a crescendo. Donovan took a deep breath, his finger hovering over the firing control. "Now!" Graves ordered. Donovan fired. A blinding beam of energy lanced out, carving a path through the swarm's defenses. The hidden fleet surged forward, pouring through the gap like water through a broken dam. On Earth's surface, Colonel William Stryker led his troops through the rubble-strewn streets of what was once a thriving metropolis. The sounds of battle echoed all around them. "Deploy the EMP devices," Stryker commanded. "Let's level the playing field." His soldiers activated the recovered alien tech, sending out pulses of electromagnetic energy. The advancing swarm infantry units stumbled and fell, their systems temporarily overloaded. "Push forward!" Stryker shouted, leading the charge against the disoriented alien forces. Near Mars, Major Sarah Chen received an urgent transmission from Commander Krelzak. The Zanari leader's compound eyes flickered with excitement. "Major Chen, we've detected a unique energy signature from the suspected swarm control ship," Krelzak chittered. "Transmitting data now." Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the information. "This could be the key we need. All ships, adjust targeting parameters. We're going to hit them where it hurts." Back on Earth, Admiral Steele activated a hidden console in the command center. "Initiate Operation Thunderbolt," he ordered. Across the planet's orbit, seemingly innocuous communication satellites suddenly came to life. They began launching tungsten rods at incredible speeds, raining destruction upon the swarm formations. As the hidden fleet approached the swarm control ship, they encountered a wall of biomechanical vessels, so dense it seemed impenetrable. Fleet Admiral Graves' voice was tense but determined as he addressed a select group of pilots. "Commander Hawkins, you're up. Take your stealth team and find us a way in." Commander Natalie Hawkins, a woman with sharp eyes and a reputation for pulling off the impossible, acknowledged the order. "Understood, Admiral. We'll make it happen." Hawkins led her team of advanced stealth ships, their sleek forms barely visible against the backdrop of space. They wove through the chaos of battle, exploiting gaps in the swarm's defenses that larger ships couldn't hope to navigate. As they closed in on the massive swarm control ship, Hawkins gave the order. "Deploy intelligence drones. Let's find this thing's weakness." The specialized drones detached from the stealth ships, latching onto the control ship's hull like metallic leeches. They began transmitting data on the vessel's internal structure and potential vulnerabilities. Across the solar system, the effects of the fully integrated Nexus Gate energy network began to manifest. Swarm ships started to malfunction, their biomechanical systems disrupted by the resonating energy fields. Blackwood watched the battle unfold on the Nexus Gate's holographic display, his expression a mix of hope and concern. It's working, but will it be enough? Suddenly, an alarm blared through the command center. A junior officer's voice was tight with tension. "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting a massive energy buildup beyond Pluto's orbit. It looks like a new wormhole is forming." Admiral Steele's face hardened. "How long?" "At current rate of expansion, we have less than an hour before it stabilizes enough for ships to come through." Steele's voice was steel as he opened a channel to all Earth forces. "This is Admiral Steele. We've detected a potential swarm reinforcement wormhole forming. Our window of opportunity is closing. All units converge on the swarm control ship. This ends now." As the final assault began, with Earth's forces and their allies throwing everything they had at the swarm's defenses, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The battle raged on, each side fighting with the desperation of those who know defeat means extinction. Commander Hawkins's voice crackled over the comm. "Admiral Graves, we found a weakness. Transmitting targeting data now." Graves's eyes narrowed as he studied the information. "All ships, form up on me. We're going in." The hidden fleet surged forward, weapons blazing, as they made their final push towards the heart of the swarm invasion. The next few moments would determine not just the future of Earth, but the balance of power in the entire galaxy. As the hidden fleet surged towards the swarm control ship, Commander Natalie Hawkins's stealth team closed in on their target. Her voice crackled over the secure comm channel. "Stealth team in position. Deploying intelligence drones now." The specialized drones detached from their sleek vessels, latching onto the massive biomechanical hull of the swarm control ship. Their sensors probed deep into the alien structure, transmitting a wealth of data back to Hawkins's team. "Admiral Graves, we're getting something," Hawkins reported, her eyes scanning the incoming information. "There's a cluster of neural nodes near the ship's core. It looks like the primary conduit for the hive mind's commands." Graves' voice came back, tense but determined. "Excellent work, Commander. Can you get us a clear shot at those nodes?" "Negative, sir. The outer layer is too heavily armored. We'll need to get inside." As Hawkins's team prepared for their daring infiltration, Fleet Admiral Graves orchestrated a symphony of chaos around the swarm control ship. Earth's hidden fleet executed a series of rapid, unpredictable maneuvers, constantly shifting formation to keep the swarm's defensive line off balance. "All ships, execute pattern Delta 7, Graves ordered. "Keep them guessing. Don't let them zero in on any single target." The fleet responded with practiced precision, their ships weaving intricate patterns through the void. Swarm vessels lashed out with bioplasma weapons, but found their targets elusive, always one step ahead. On Earth's surface, Colonel William Stryker led his troops through the ruins of a once-thriving metropolis. The air crackled with energy as another EMP burst detonated, sending waves of swarm infantry stumbling to the ground. "Push forward," Stryker shouted, his voice carrying over the din of battle. "Don't give them time to recover." Human soldiers surged ahead, their weapons blazing as they took advantage of the swarm's momentary vulnerability. Similar scenes played out in cities across the globe, marking a decisive shift in the ground war. At the Nexus Gate, Commander John Blackwood and Alexei Volkov worked feverishly at the ancient console. Sweat beaded on Volkov's brow as he input a complex series of commands. "John, I think I've got it," he said, his voice tight with concentration. "If we modulate the gate's energy output like this..." A beam of shimmering energy lanced out from the massive structure, striking a swarm battleship with unerring precision. The alien vessel's biomechanical systems faltered, leaving it drifting and vulnerable. Blackwood's eyes widened. "It worked! Quick! Target the ships near the breach point! Give our fleet an opening!" In the void between Earth and Mars, Captain Eric Donovan's fingers danced across the controls of the modified Hazari superweapon. "Major Chen, this is Donovan. I'm ready to fire on your mark." "Understood, Captain," Chen replied. "All ships, prepare for coordinated strike. Fire on my command." The combined Earth-Zanari fleet unleashed a devastating barrage, their weapons perfectly synchronized with Donovan's superweapon. The concentrated firepower tore through a weakened section of the swarm's defensive line, creating a massive breach. "All ships, push through," Chen ordered. "Don't let them close the gap." As Allied vessels poured through the opening, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne on the lunar base put the finishing touches on his second-generation virus. "This should adapt alongside their evolutionary countermeasures," he muttered, his eyes bloodshot from hours of intense work. "Start loading the new payloads immediately. We need to get these into the fight as soon as possible." In Earth's command center, Admiral Marcus Steele received an urgent communication. His face hardened as he listened to the report. "Understood. Keep monitoring the situation." He opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, be advised. We have confirmation of a new wormhole forming beyond Pluto's orbit. Long-range scans detect a massive fleet emerging. Bravo Group, disengage from current combat and move to intercept." As Commander Hawkins's team approached the swarm control ship's hull, they encountered an unexpected obstacle. The ship's outer layer began to shift and reconfigure, revealing a previously undetected defense mechanism. "Damn it," Hawkins hissed. "All units split up. We'll try multiple entry points simultaneously. Stay alert for any more surprises." Her team separated, each group searching for a vulnerable spot in the ever-changing alien armor. As they worked, the Nexus Gate's energy network pulsed with newfound power. Quantum entanglement effects began to manifest between Earth ships and their weapon systems. "This is incredible," Blackwood breathed, watching the holographic display. "Our ships are reacting almost instantly to tactical changes. It's like they're part of a single organism." The unexpected advantage allowed Earth's forces to anticipate and counter the swarm's coordinated attacks with unprecedented efficiency. However, the alien hive mind was far from defeated. A powerful psychic pulse emanated from the swarm control ship, washing over the battlefield. Human soldiers and pilots reeled, their minds assaulted by alien consciousness. "What's happening?" Stryker growled, fighting against the disorientation threatening to overwhelm him. "Command, we're experiencing some kind of mental attack." Admiral Steele's voice cut through the chaos. "All units, activate psionic shielding. Authorization code Omega-37 Delta." Experimental devices developed in secret using recovered Hazari biotech sprang to life across Earth's forces. The psychic assault abated, allowing humans to regain their focus and press the attack. As Commander Hawkins's team finally breached the swarm control ship's outer defenses, the battle reached a fever pitch. Earth's forces pushed their advantage, even as the unknown fleet continued to emerge from the distant wormhole. Hawkins led her team through twisting, organic corridors, closing in on the neural cluster that could turn the tide of the entire war. "We're almost there," she said, her voice tense with anticipation. "Just a little further." "Further. Team, prepare for entry. We're going in hot." As Hawkins's voice crackled over the comm, her team split into 3 groups. Lieutenant Marcus Chen led the first, activating a swarm of cutting-edge nanobots. The microscopic machines swarmed over a section of the biomechanical hull, creating a small but growing breach. "Breach point established," Chen reported, his voice tight with concentration. "Proceeding with caution." Sergeant Olivia Rodriguez and her group moved swiftly to their designated sector. With practiced precision, they deployed electromagnetic pulse charges along the hull. "EMP charges set," Rodriguez announced, "detonating in 3, 2, 1. A silent pulse rippled through the area, temporarily disabling the ship's defensive systems in their sector. Rodriguez's team wasted no time, slipping through the momentary gap in the swarm's defenses. Commander Hawkins herself led the third group, approaching the hull with a captured swarm drone in tow. She interfaced with the alien technology, her fingers dancing across unfamiliar controls. "Initiating mimicry sequence," Hawkins muttered. The drone came to life, emitting a series of complex signals. The hull before them shimmered and parted, granting them access. As Hawkins's team infiltrated the massive control ship, Fleet Admiral Victor Graves orchestrated a daring assault on the swarm's defensive line. "All ships initiate Operation Firefly," Graves commanded, his voice resonating through the fleet's communication channels. Smaller, more agile Earth vessels darted forward, engines flaring. They weaved through the swarm formations, weapons blazing in rapid hit-and-run attacks. The swarm ships, caught off guard by the unconventional tactic, broke formation to give chase. Now, Graves ordered, larger Earth vessels surged forward, exploiting the gaps created by their smaller counterparts. They pushed closer to the control ship, their weapons finding vulnerable targets among the disorganized swarm. On Earth's surface, Colonel William Stryker led his troops through the ruins of New York City. A device on his wrist emitted a low hum, disrupting the swarm infantry's communication with their orbital support. "Keep pushing," Stryker shouted, his voice carrying over the sound of weapons fire. "They're disorganized. Take advantage." Earth soldiers pressed forward, reclaiming block after block of the once great metropolis. Similar scenes played out in London and Tokyo as humanity fought to reclaim its cities. At the Nexus Gate, Commander John Blackwood and Alexei Volkov worked in perfect synchronization, their fingers flying over ancient controls. "Energy modulation refined," Volkov announced. "Creating disruption beam network now." The massive structure hummed with power, projecting a web of focused energy beams across the solar system. Earth ships capitalized on the precision targeting, disabling key swarm vessels with surgical strikes. In the void between Earth and Mars, Captain Eric Donovan's voice crackled over the comm. "Major Chen, initiating vortex maneuver. Stand by for quantum torpedo strike." The modified Hazari superweapon came to life, creating a swirling energy vortex that pulled in nearby swarm ships. Chen's Earth Zenari fleet wasted no time, launching a barrage of quantum torpedoes into the clustered enemy vessels. The resulting explosion sent a shockwave through space, leaving nothing but debris in its wake. On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne watched as missiles carrying the second-generation virus launched towards the swarm fleet. "Multiple impacts confirmed," a technician reported, "viral payloads spreading rapidly through swarm systems." Hawthorne nodded grimly. "Keep monitoring their adaptation rate. We need to stay ahead of their evolutionary countermeasures." As the battle raged across the solar system, Commander Hawkins's team pushed deeper into the swarm control ship. They encountered fierce resistance from bioengineered guardian creatures, their alien forms defying easy description. "Phase shift technology online," Hawkins ordered. Her team shimmered, becoming partially out of phase with normal space-time. They moved through the Guardians' attacks, pushing ever closer to their target. In Earth's command center, Admiral Marcus Steele received an urgent communication. His eyes widened as he processed the information. "This is Admiral Steele to all Earth forces," he announced, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "We have confirmation on the unknown fleet. They've been identified as precursors, the creators of the Nexus Gate network." A tense silence fell over the command center as Steele opened a secure channel to the approaching precursor fleet. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance as they awaited a response. Aboard the swarm control ship, Hawkins and her team finally breached the central chamber. Before them stood a massive biological supercomputer, pulsing with alien energy. The hive mind of the swarm was within their grasp. As Hawkins prepared to deliver the final blow, the ship shuddered violently. Outside, the precursor fleet entered the inner solar system, their intentions still unknown. The battle had reached its critical point, with the outcome far from certain. Hawkins steeled herself, knowing that her next actions could determine the fate of humanity. She raised her weapon, aimed at the heart of the swarm's intelligence, and pulled the trigger. A burst of concentrated energy erupted from her weapon, striking the pulsating core of the swarm's biological supercomputer. But instead of destroying it outright, the energy dispersed across the neural network in a carefully calibrated pattern. Hawkins watched as the bioluminescent pathways flickered and dimmed, their alien glow fading to a dull pulse. "EMP devices, now!" she barked, her voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. Her team sprang into action, deploying specialized electromagnetic pulse generators at strategic points around the supercomputer. The devices hummed to life, emitting waves of disruptive energy that washed over the alien construct. The chamber shuddered, and Hawkins braced herself against a nearby console, Tendrils of energy arced between the neural pathways, creating a dazzling light show as the swarm's hive mind fought against the assault. "Status report," Hawkins demanded, her eyes scanning the writhing mass of biotech before her. "The EMP is working, Commander," Lieutenant Chen replied, his voice tight with concentration as he monitored the readings on his wrist computer. "We're seeing a 60% reduction in neural activity across all monitored sectors." Sergeant Rodriguez called out from her position near the chamber's entrance. "Commander, we've got movement. The ship's internal defenses are reacting to the attack." Hawkins nodded grimly. "Hold your positions. We need to give the EMP time to work." As her team fortified their positions, Hawkins opened a secure channel to Earth's command center. "Admiral Steele, this is Commander Hawkins. We've initiated the assault on the swarm's central nervous system. Request update on overall battle status." There was a moment of static before Steele's voice came through, tense but controlled. "Commander, be advised. We have a new situation developing. The unknown fleet has been identified as precursors, and they've just entered the inner solar system." Hawkins felt her breath catch in her throat. The precursors, the legendary creators of the Nexus Gate network. Their arrival could change everything. "What are their intentions, sir?" she asked, her mind racing through potential scenarios. "We're still determining that," Steele replied. "I've initiated Protocol Omega and activated our diplomatic corps. Ambassador Reeves is preparing for direct talks." As Hawkins processed this information, the chamber around her groaned and shifted. The biological supercomputer was adapting, creating new neural pathways to bypass the damaged sections. "Team, adjust your EMP devices," Hawkins ordered. "We need to target those new connections before they fully form." Her squad moved swiftly, recalibrating their equipment to counter the swarm's adaptive measures. The air crackled with energy as another wave of electromagnetic pulses swept through the chamber. Outside the control ship, the space battle had reached a fever pitch. Earth's hidden fleet, under the command of Fleet Admiral Graves, broke away from the main engagement. They formed a protective ring around the Nexus Gate, a clear statement of humanity's commitment to safeguarding the ancient artifact. Captain Eric Donovan, at the helm of the modified Hazari superweapon, detected a surge of energy from the swarm control ship. "Major Chen," he called over the comms, "I'm picking up a massive power spike. The swarm might be trying something big." "Understood, Captain," Chen replied. "All ships, form up on Donovan's position. Prepare to create a focused energy barrier." As the Earth Zanari fleet moved into position, a startling transformation began to unfold. Hundreds of swarm ships started to merge, their biomechanical forms twisting and fusing into a colossal entity. "My God," Donovan breathed, watching the sensor readings climb off the charts. "Chen, are you seeing this?" "Affirmative," Chen responded, her voice tight. "All ships designate this new threat as Omega Swarm, adjust targeting parameters, and prepare for extreme evasive maneuvers." The newly formed Omega Swarm began to move, its massive form cutting through space with surprising speed. Its trajectory became clear. It was heading straight for the Nexus Gate. Back on the swarm control ship, Hawkins and her team fought a desperate battle against the biological supercomputer's regenerative capabilities. With each section they disabled, new pathways formed, creating a constantly shifting battlefield. "Commander," Rodriguez called out, "I'm detecting a change in the ship's energy signature. It's like it's trying to connect with something outside." Hawkins's eyes widened as she made the connection. "It's linking up with that new combined form we're seeing out there. We need to sever that connection now." She quickly relayed the information to Admiral Steele, who coordinated with the forces defending the Nexus Gate. As Earth ships prepared for the Omega Swarm's approach, the gate itself began to resonate with the approaching precursor vessels. At the gate's control center, Commanders Blackwood and Volkov worked feverishly to understand the complex interference patterns forming between the gate and the precursor ships. "John, look at this," Volkov said, pointing to a holographic display. "The gate is reacting to the precursor's technology. It's like it's trying to communicate with them." Blackwood nodded, his fingers flying over the ancient controls. "If we can decipher this, we might have a direct line to the precursors. We need to inform Admiral Steele immediately." As the various fronts of the battle converged, Hawkins's team fighting the swarm's central intelligence, Earth's fleet facing the Omega swarm, and the diplomatic corps preparing for first contact with the precursors. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. In the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne received the data from Hawkins's team and immediately set to work. "This is it," he muttered, his eyes scanning the information. "The key to shutting down the swarm once and for all." His fingers danced across holographic interfaces as he modified the second-generation virus, tailoring it specifically to target the swarm's biological supercomputer. As the new viral payload took shape, Hawthorne knew that the next few moments would determine the course of the war and possibly the future of the entire galaxy. As Hawthorne finalized the viral payload, a sudden realization struck him. The swarm's biological supercomputer was far more complex than they had anticipated. A conventional delivery system wouldn't suffice. "This is Hawthorne to Commander Hawkins," he said, his voice urgent. "We need to modify our approach. I'm sending you specifications for a nanobot network. It's our best chance at infiltrating the swarm's neural pathways." Aboard the swarm control ship, Hawkins received the transmission. She quickly assessed the new information, her mind racing through the tactical implications. "Understood, Doctor. We'll implement immediately." She turned to her team, her expression resolute. "Change of plans. We're deploying nanobots." Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across his hollow interface, reconfiguring their equipment. "Nanobot fabrication initiated, Commander. ETA 3 minutes." As they waited, the ship shuddered violently. The swarm's adaptive defenses were intensifying, creating new biomechanical barriers to repel the intruders. "Hold your positions," Hawkins ordered, bracing herself against a pulsating wall. The organic material beneath her gloved hand felt warm, almost alive. Sergeant Rodriguez called out from her position near a cluster of neural nodes. "Commander, I'm detecting increased activity in the secondary pathways. The swarm is rerouting control functions." Hawkins nodded grimly. "They're adapting faster than we anticipated. Chen, status on those nanobots?" "Fabrication complete," Chen replied, holding up a small canister. "Ready for deployment." "Do it," Hawkins commanded. Chen activated the canister, releasing a cloud of microscopic robots into the air. The nanobots spread quickly, infiltrating the gaps in the swarm's defenses and penetrating deep into the biological supercomputer's core systems. On the main view screen, Hawkins watched as the nanobot network expanded, represented by a web of blue lines spreading across the swarm's neural map. Red areas indicating swarm activity began to flicker and fade as the nanobots disrupted their functions. "It's working," Rodriguez reported, her voice tinged with cautious optimism. "We're seeing cascading failures across multiple subsystems." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Earth's fleet engaged the massive Omega swarm. The colossal entity, formed from hundreds of merged swarm ships, moved with surprising agility for its size. Fleet Admiral Victor Graves's voice crackled over the comms. "All ships, concentrate fire on Sector Delta 9. We need to penetrate its outer defenses." Captain Eric Donovan, at the helm of the modified Hazari superweapon, acknowledged the order. "Roger that, Admiral. Initiating spatial distortion sequence." Donovan's fingers danced across the controls, activating the ship's unique capabilities. The space around the Omega swarm began to warp and twist, creating pockets of distorted reality that strained the massive construct's structural integrity. "Now, Major Chen," Donovan called out, "hit it with everything you've got." Major Sarah Chen's Earth Zenari fleet unleashed a devastating barrage of weapons fire. Antimatter warheads and gravimetric torpedoes streaked across space, their trajectories curving unnaturally through the distorted areas before impacting the Omega swarm. The massive entity shuddered under the assault, its biomechanical form writhing in space. Sections of its outer shell began to crack and peel away, exposing vulnerable inner systems. Back on Earth, Colonel William Stryker received new orders from Admiral Marcus Steele. He quickly relayed them to his ground forces. "This is Stryker. All units, prepare to activate surface-to-space defense systems. Authorization code Omega-7 Delta." Across the planet's surface, hidden installations whirred to life. Massive doors slid open in remote deserts, atop snow-capped mountains, and beneath the waves of seemingly empty oceans. Colossal railguns emerged, their barrels aimed skyward. Alongside them, arrays of particle beam emitters powered up, filling the air with the hum of charged particles. All systems online, a technician reported, awaiting final authorization. Stryker's eyes narrowed as he watched the tactical display, tracking the Omega swarm's position. Fire! The planet's surface lit up as the defense systems unleashed their power. Hypersonic projectiles launched from the railguns, leaving trails of superheated air in their wake. Particle beams lanced upward, their energy hardly restrained as they streaked towards their target. In orbit, Ambassador Dr. Jonathan Reeves worked feverishly to establish communication with the precursor fleet. The ancient aliens' technology was beyond anything humanity had encountered, making traditional methods of contact useless. "This is Dr. Reeves to Admiral Steele," he said, his voice tense. "We've made a breakthrough. The Nexus Gate's resonance patterns are the key. We're piggybacking our transmission on the gate's energy signature." Steele's response was immediate. "Understood, Doctor. Proceed with caution. The fate of humanity may rest on your words." Reeves took a deep breath, steeling himself for what could be the most important conversation in human history. He activated the newly calibrated communication system, sending out humanity's first direct message to the precursors. "To the creators of the Nexus Gate," he began, his words carried on waves of quantum energy. "We are the inhabitants of Earth, a young species seeking our place among the stars. We come in peace and with great respect for your ancient wisdom." As Reeves continued his carefully crafted message, detailing humanity's achievements and their successful defense against the swarm, the battle raged on around him. Aboard the swarm control ship, Commander Hawkins and her team pushed deeper into the heart of the biological supercomputer. The nanobots had cleared a path, disabling defensive systems and creating gaps in the swarm's neural network. "We're approaching the core," Hawkins announced, her voice steady despite the alien environment surrounding them. "Prepare the viral payload." As they entered the central chamber, they were confronted by a sight that defied easy description. A massive, pulsating structure dominated the room, its surface a shifting maze of bioluminescent pathways and neural interfaces. "My God," Chen whispered, momentarily awestruck by the alien complexity before them. Hawkins shook off her own sense of wonder, focusing on the task at hand. "Deploy the virus, target the primary neural clusters." As her team moved to execute the final stage of their mission, a new transmission came through on their comms. Admiral Steele's voice was urgent, carrying news that would add yet another layer of complexity to an already chaotic situation. "All units, be advised," Steele said, his tone grave. "We're detecting massive energy spikes from the wormhole beyond Pluto. Something is coming through and it's big. Stand by for further orders." Hawkins exchanged glances with her team, the weight of this new development settling over them. As they turned back to their task, injecting the targeted virus into the core of the swarm's intelligence, they knew that even if they succeeded here, a new challenge was already emerging on the fringes of their solar system. The battle for Earth had reached its climax, but the war for humanity's future in the galaxy was not nearly finished. As the virus began its work, spreading through the swarm systems like a digital wildfire, Hawkins and her team braced themselves for whatever would come next. As the virus began its work, spreading through the swarm systems like a digital wildfire, Hawkins and her team braced themselves for whatever would come next. Their moment of anticipation was cut short by Admiral Steele's urgent voice, crackling through their comms once again. "All units, be advised. The energy readings from the wormhole have intensified beyond anything we've seen before. Brace for impact." Suddenly, the space beyond Pluto erupted in a brilliant flash of light. A massive fleet emerged from the spatial rift, its ships dwarfing even the combined forces of Earth, the swarm, and the precursors. The sheer scale of the new arrivals left everyone stunned, momentarily halting the ongoing battle. "This is Grand Admiral Zorn of the Galactic Confederation," a deep, authoritative voice boomed across all communication channels. "We have assessed the situation and are moving to engage the swarm threat. All Allied forces, coordinate your efforts with our fleet." Without hesitation, the Confederation ships surged forward, their advanced weaponry lighting up the void of space. Gravitational singularity bombs created localized black holes that tore apart swarm ships, while phase-shift torpedoes bypassed enemy shields entirely, striking at the heart of the biomechanical monstrosities. Aboard the swarm control ship, Commander Hawkins watched in awe as the tactical display updated to show the new arrivals. "This changes everything," she muttered, then shook herself back to focus. "Team, we stick to the mission. The virus is our key to ending this." As they pushed deeper into the heart of the biological supercomputer, the ship shuddered violently. The swarm's hive mind, under assault from both the virus and the Confederation's attack, was beginning to fragment. In orbit around Earth, Fleet Admiral Victor Graves seized the opportunity presented by the Confederation's arrival. "All ships, concentrate fire on the Omega Swarm's exposed weak points. Let's finish this." The combined Earth fleet unleashed a devastating barrage, their weapons finding a purchase in the cracks and fissures of the massive construct. Large sections of the Omega Swarm began to break apart, drifting away and colliding with nearby swarm vessels. On the planet's surface, Colonel William Stryker received new orders from High Command. His fingers flew across the control panel, inputting a series of complex codes. "This is Stryker, activating orbital defense grid, authorization code, Epsilon 9 Gamma." Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of hidden satellites revealed themselves, their powerful energy weapons deploying with mechanical precision. The grid came to life, systematically targeting and destroying the remaining swarm ships in Earth's vicinity. Meanwhile, at the Nexus Gate, Ambassador Dr. Jonathan Reeves found himself facing an unexpected diplomatic challenge. The precursor fleet, observing the arrival of the Galactic Confederation, had requested an immediate conference. "Admiral Steele," Reeves called urgently, "the precursors are proposing we use the Nexus Gate as neutral ground for negotiations. They want representatives from Earth and the Confederation present." Steele's response was immediate. "Understood, Doctor. I'm dispatching a secure shuttle with key officials. Diplomat Sarah Chen will join you for the talks. Proceed with caution, Reeves. The fate of Earth and the galactic community may rest on these negotiations." As the diplomatic team prepared for their critical mission, Captain Eric Donovan made a breakthrough aboard the modified Hazari superweapon. His eyes widened as he analyzed the data streaming across his console. "Major Chen," he called out to his second-in-command, "I've found a way to reconfigure our main weapon. If we calibrate it to this specific frequency, we can disrupt the swarm's remaining neural connections over vast distances." Chen nodded, her fingers already dancing across the controls. "Initiating recalibration now, Captain. Estimated time to full charge, 3 minutes." Back on the swarm control ship, Commander Hawkins and her team had reached the central processing core of the biological supercomputer. The pulsating mass of neural tissue was encased in a shimmering protective field, its surface writhing with alien complexity. "Rodriguez, Chen, bypass that field," Hawkins ordered, her voice tense but controlled. "I'll prepare the targeted virus for manual injection." As her team worked feverishly to penetrate the core's defenses, Hawkins readied the injection device, its reservoir filled with the glowing blue nanobots carrying Dr. Hawthorne's precisely engineered virus. The battle raged on all fronts, in space, within the swarm ship, and now in the diplomatic arena. The next moments would determine not just the outcome of this conflict, but humanity's place in a much larger, more complex galactic society. Hawkins raised the injection device, poised to strike at the very heart of the swarm's intelligence. The protective field flickered and failed, leaving the core exposed. Without hesitation, she plunged the device into the writhing mass of neural tissue, unleashing the virus directly into the swarm's central nervous system. As the nanobots spread through the core, carrying their viral payload, the entire ship shuddered. Lights flickered, and the constant background hum of the swarm's bioelectrical systems began to falter and die. "It's working," Rodriguez called out, her eyes fixed on her scanner. "The virus is spreading faster than the swarm can adapt. We're seeing cascading failures across all systems." The effects of their actions rippled outward, reaching far beyond the confines of the control ship. Across the battlefield, swarm vessels began to lose cohesion, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. Captain Donovan aboard the Hazari superweapon saw his moment. "Major Chen, status on the recalibration?" "Calibration complete, Captain. We're fully charged and ready to fire." Donovan's hand hovered over the activation switch. "Then let's end this. Fire." The modified Hazari weapon unleashed a pulse of energy that spread outward in an ever-expanding sphere. As it washed over the swarm ships, their last remaining neural connections severed, leaving them adrift and helpless. As the tide of battle turned decisively in favor of the Allied forces, the diplomatic conference at the Nexus Gate began. Ambassador Reeves, joined by Sarah Chen, found himself facing representatives not just from the precursors, but from dozens of species that made up the Galactic Confederation. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, not just in the battle against the swarm, but in the complex dance of interstellar politics that was about to unfold. The war might be ending, but humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning. The virus was working its way through the swarm's neural network, but Commander Hawkins knew their mission wasn't over yet. "We need to ensure complete saturation," she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Rodriguez, Chen, monitor the virus spread. I want real-time updates on its progress." As her team worked feverishly, Hawkins felt the ship shudder violently. The virus was taking effect, causing cascading failures throughout the swarm systems. She gripped the injection device tightly, ready to administer another dose if necessary. Suddenly, a blinding light flooded the chamber. Hawkins squinted, trying to make sense of what was happening. The light faded as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind a strange, shimmering effect that seemed to dance across the surfaces of the biological supercomputer. "Commander?" Rodriguez called out, her voice filled with a mix of awe and confusion. "I'm picking up a massive energy surge. It's not coming from the ship. It's everywhere." Hawkins's mind raced, putting the pieces together. "The Hazari weapon," she breathed. "Donovan must have fired it." Outside the swarm control ship, the battlefield had transformed. The once coordinated swarm vessels now drifted aimlessly, their connection to the hive mind severed by the combined effects of the virus and the Hazari weapon's energy pulse. The Galactic Confederation fleet, seizing the moment, launched into action. Grand Admiral Zorn's voice boomed across all channels. "All Confederation ships, engage and neutralize the remaining swarm forces. Show no mercy." The void of space lit up with weapons fire as the technologically superior Confederation ships tore through the disorganized swarm vessels. Gravitational singularity bombs created localized black holes, swallowing entire clusters of enemy ships. Phase shift torpedoes bypassed what remained of the swarm's defenses, striking at their very core. Aboard the modified Hazari superweapon, Captain Eric Donovan watched the aftermath of their attack with a mix of relief and trepidation. "Major Chen, status report on the weapon's effects?" Chen's fingers flew over her console, analyzing the incoming data. "The pulse appears to have severed the swarm's neural connections across the entire battlefield, sir. Their ships are effectively neutralized." Donovan nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Excellent work, Major. Now let's hope the ground teams can finish the job." On the lunar base, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne worked with frantic energy, making final adjustments to his genetic restructuring device. He knew the window of opportunity was small, and he couldn't wait for official authorization. "Jenkins, prepare the launch sequence for the modified probes," he ordered his assistant. "We need to strike while the swarm is vulnerable." As the probes rocketed towards the clusters of disabled swarm ships, Hawthorne watched the telemetry data with breathless expectation. The devices made contact, immediately emitting the specialized radiation he had designed. "It's working," he muttered, eyes fixed on the readings. "The swarm's genetic structure is beginning to alter. We might just pull this off." At the Nexus Gate, the atmosphere was tense as Ambassador Dr. Jonathan Reeves faced the assembled representatives of the precursors and the Galactic Confederation. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what could be the most important proposal of his career. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, his voice clear and confident, "the events we have witnessed today have shown us the power of cooperation in the face of overwhelming odds. I propose we formalize this cooperation into a new interstellar alliance, with Earth as a founding member alongside the precursors and the Galactic Confederation. The chamber erupted in a flurry of alien languages and gestures. The precursors, their ancient forms shimmering with an otherworldly light, signaled their approval. Grand Admiral Zorn, however, raised a hand for silence. "Your proposal is bold, Ambassador Reeves," the Confederation leader said, his voice a low rumble. "While we appreciate Earth's contribution to this victory, such an alliance would require careful consideration. We will need time to consult with our ruling council." As the diplomatic dance continued, Fleet Admiral Victor Graves received an urgent communication. His eyes widened as he read the message from Earth's long-range sensor stations. "Admiral Steele," he called out, his voice tense, "we're detecting a massive energy surge from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Initial analysis suggests it could be another Nexus gate activating." Steele's response was immediate. "Deploy our hidden fleet to Alpha Centauri immediately. Rear Admiral Elena Volkov will lead the expedition. We need to know what we're dealing with." As Volkov's fleet prepared for their journey into the unknown, Colonel William Stryker received new orders from High Command. He quickly assembled his rapid response teams, equipping them with the latest in exosuit technology and modular spacecraft. "Listen up," he addressed the gathered soldiers. "Our mission is to secure and study any remaining swarm technology throughout the solar system. We don't know what we might find, so stay alert and proceed with caution." As the teams deployed to their assigned locations, Dr. Hawthorne's probes continued their work on the disabled swarm ships. The once terrifying biomechanical monstrosities were slowly transforming, their structures shifting into something new and potentially benign. In the Nexus Gate conference chamber, Ambassador Reeves and Sarah Chen worked tirelessly, navigating the complex waters of interstellar diplomacy. They knew that Earth's future in the galactic community hung in the balance. As the immediate threat of the swarm receded, new challenges and opportunities loomed on the horizon. The activation of the Alpha Centauri Nexus Gate promised to open up new frontiers for humanity, even as it presented potential new threats. Rear Admiral Volkov stood on the bridge of her flagship, the ESS Horizon, as it prepared to lead Earth's hidden fleet towards Alpha Centauri. She gazed out at the star-filled void, her mind racing with the possibilities and dangers that lay ahead. "Helm, set course for Alpha Centauri," she ordered, her voice filled with commitment. "Let's see what the universe has in store for us next." As the ESS Horizon led Earth's hidden fleet towards Alpha Centauri, Rear Admiral Elena Volkov stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of their destination. The newly activated Nexus Gate pulsed with energy, a beacon of both opportunity and potential danger. "Tactical, maintain stealth protocols," Volkov ordered, her voice steady. "Ensign Carter, initiate long-range scans of the system." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their fingers dancing across control panels as the fleet approached the outskirts of Alpha Centauri. The silence was broken by Carter's urgent voice. "Admiral, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the inner planets," he reported, brow furrowed in concentration. The readings suggest advanced technological artifacts, possibly even signs of current inhabitation. Volkov's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. All previous observations indicated this system was uninhabited." She paused, considering their options. "Maintain course, but adopt maximum stealth protocols. Prepare for potential first contact scenarios." As the fleet continued its cautious approach, activity throughout the solar system intensified. On Mars, Major Alex Decker and his rapid response team had just breached the entrance of an abandoned swarm outpost. "Team, fan out and secure the perimeter," Decker ordered, his exosuit sensors scanning for any residual swarm activity. As they moved deeper into the facility, a faint blue glow caught his attention. "Over here!" The team converged on a hidden chamber, revealing a holographic interface pulsing with alien symbols. Decker's eyes widened as he realized what they'd stumbled upon. "Command, this is Major Decker," he reported, his voice tight with excitement. "We've discovered a cache of advanced swarm navigation data. Initiating download now." Back on Earth, the transformed swarm ships continued their metamorphosis under the watchful eyes of Dr. Marcus Hawthorne and his team. The once terrifying biomechanical monstrosities had evolved into something entirely new, their structures now sleek and almost organic in appearance. "Fascinating," Hawthorne muttered, studying the real-time data streaming across his screens. "They're exhibiting signs of independent thought and non-aggressive behavior. Jenkins, initiate the communication protocols we developed." As Earth scientists worked to establish contact with the transformed entities, a significant portion of the fleet began to coalesce around a central hub. The collective consciousness that emerged from this union pulsed with a newfound sense of purpose. At the Nexus Gate Conference, Ambassador Dr. Jonathan Reeves and Sarah Chen found themselves in the midst of intense negotiations. The chamber buzzed with the languages of a dozen alien species as they hammered out the details of Earth's potential membership in the Interstellar Alliance. "We agree to the technology sharing and mutual defense pacts," Reeves stated, his voice firm. "However, Earth must maintain its sovereignty and the right to continue its own technological development." The precursor representative, a being of shimmering light and energy, inclined its form in what seemed to be a nod of approval. "In light of humanity's exemplary handling of the swarm threat, we offer a portion of our advanced knowledge as a gesture of goodwill." Before Reeves could respond, Grand Admiral Zorn interrupted, his massive form looming over the assembly. "The ruling council has responded to our proposal," he announced, his voice a low rumble. "They express cautious approval, but request a probationary period for Earth's membership. During this time, your people must demonstrate their commitment to galactic peace and cooperation through a series of diplomatic and humanitarian missions." As the implications of this decision rippled through the conference chamber, Admiral Marcus Steele received the news aboard his flagship. Without hesitation, he opened a secure channel to Earth's highest-ranking officials. "Initiate Operation Cosmic Bridge," he ordered, his voice resolute. "Establish the interstellar diplomacy academies, begin retrofitting our industrial capabilities for Alliance-compatible tech, and create the new extrasolar operations branch of the military. We need to be ready for our new role in the galactic community." Meanwhile, aboard the captured swarm control ship, Commander Natalie Hawkins and her team had just made a startling discovery. Behind a hidden bulkhead, they found a chamber housing what appeared to be a prototype for an even more advanced version of the swarm's neural network. "This is unlike anything we've seen before," Hawkins breathed, her fingers hovering over the pulsating biomechanical construct. "Admiral Steele needs to see this immediately." As these events unfolded across the solar system and beyond, the newly transformed swarm entities reached a critical point in their evolution. The collective consciousness that had formed, now dubbed the Harmony by Earth scientists, sent out a pulse of energy that was detected by both Earth and Galactic Confederation sensors. Dr. Hawthorne's eyes widened as he deciphered the message. "They're attempting to establish peaceful communication," he announced to the gathered officials. "This could change everything." Just as Earth prepared to respond to this unprecedented olive branch, alarms blared across the Nexus Gate conference chamber. The precursor scientists' forms flickered with agitation as they addressed the assembly. "The activation of the Alpha Centauri Gate has triggered energy fluctuations throughout the known network," one of them explained, their voice resonating with urgency. "The fabric of space-time itself may be at risk. We must urge caution in the use of the gates until a full assessment can be conducted." As the conference erupted into a flurry of concerned discussions, Rear Admiral Volkov's fleet edged closer to the heart of the Alpha Centauri system. The unknown energy signatures grew stronger, pulsing with an alien rhythm that set every crew member on edge. Volkov stood at the center of the bridge, her posture rigid as she surveyed the holographic display of the system. The inner planets glowed with the promise of advanced technological marvels, perhaps even the key to understanding the gate network's instabilities. "All ships, maintain formation," she ordered, her voice cutting through the tense silence. "Prepare for potential first contact scenarios. Whatever we find here could change the course of human history." As the fleet moved deeper into the system, the mysteries of Alpha Centauri loomed before them, holding the promise of unprecedented challenges and opportunities for humanity's future in the galactic community. As the fleet moved deeper into the system, the mysteries of Alpha Centauri loomed before them, holding the promise of unprecedented challenges and opportunities for humanity's future in the galactic community. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge of the ES horizon. "Admiral Volkov!" Ensign Carter called out, his voice urgent. "Massive energy surge detected from the Nexus gate." Volkov's eyes widened as she watched the holographic display. The gate's energy signature was expanding rapidly, its boundaries becoming unstable and erratic. "All ships, maintain safe distance," she ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Deploy sensor probes immediately. We need to gather as much data as possible on this phenomenon." As the fleet maneuvered away from the gate, sleek probes shot out from their launch bays, racing towards the pulsating anomaly. The bridge crew worked feverishly, their fingers flying over control panels as they processed the incoming data. Back on Earth, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne stood transfixed before a wall of monitors, each displaying real-time data on the transformed swarm ships. The biomechanical entities, now collectively known as the Harmony, were undergoing a remarkable metamorphosis. "Look at this," Hawthorne breathed, gesturing to his colleagues. "They're reconfiguring themselves into a more unified structure. The level of coordination is astounding." As the Harmony's component ships merged and reformed, intricate patterns emerged, suggesting a level of intelligence far beyond what they had initially anticipated. Hawthorne's team watched in awe as the entities began solving complex problems presented to them, their responses becoming more sophisticated with each passing moment. Admiral Marcus Steele, upon receiving Hawthorne's report, wasted no time in establishing a dedicated task force to study and interact with the Harmony. He immediately contacted Dr. Victor Reeves, a renowned xenobiologist and brother of Ambassador Jonathan Reeves. "Dr. Reeves," Steele said, his voice firm, "I need you to lead this research effort. We're setting up a secure facility on one of Jupiter's moons. Your team will have full access to all the resources you need." Victor Reeves, his eyes gleaming with excitement, nodded. "I'll assemble my team immediately, Admiral. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for." As Earth grappled with these new developments, the Nexus Gate conference chamber was abuzz with activity. Ambassador Jonathan Reeves and Sarah Chen listened intently as the precursor representatives revealed a shocking truth about the Gate network. The gates were not merely created for exploration, the shimmering form of the precursor explained, its voice resonating through the chamber. They are a failsafe against a cosmic threat we call the Void, an all-consuming force that exists beyond the boundaries of known space. The chamber fell silent as the implications of this revelation sank in. Grand Admiral Zorn was the first to speak, his voice grave. "This changes everything. The formation of our alliance is no longer just about cooperation. It's about survival." On Mars, Major Alex Decker and his team huddled around a holographic display, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of alien symbols. After hours of painstaking work, they had finally cracked the code hidden within the swarm navigation data. "Sir," Decker reported, his voice tight with excitement, "we've found coordinates for what appears to be the swarm's home system. It's located in a distant arm of the Milky Way." Admiral Steele's response was immediate. "Prepare an exploratory mission immediately. We need to know what we're dealing with." Back in the Alpha Centauri system, Rear Admiral Volkov's fleet had made a startling discovery. Orbiting the system's second planet was a series of artificial structures, their design an uncanny blend of precursor and swarm technology. "Deploy stealth ships for closer investigation," Volkov ordered, her eyes never leaving the holographic display. "Maintain extreme caution. We don't know what we're dealing with here." As events unfolded across the solar system and beyond, Colonel William Stryker oversaw the integration of recovered swarm technology into Earth's defense systems. In a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, soldiers and pilots trained in exosuits and starfighters that pushed the boundaries of human capability. "Again," Stryker barked, watching as a team of elite soldiers navigated a complex obstacle course. "Faster! The fate of humanity may depend on your ability to master this technology." In orbit around Saturn, Commander Natalie Hawkins faced a crisis. The prototype of the advanced swarm neural network, extracted from the control ship, had shown signs of reactivation. Despite her team's best efforts to contain it, the prototype managed to establish a brief connection with the Harmony before being fully isolated. "Containment protocols at maximum!" Hawkins shouted, her fingers flying over the control panel. "We can't let it fully reactivate." The connection, though brief, sent a surge of activity through the Harmony. In the asteroid belt, the transformed swarm entities began constructing a massive structure, its purpose unknown but clearly of great significance. As Earth grappled with these developments, Grand Admiral Zorn approached Ambassador Reeves with news that would change humanity's trajectory in the galactic community. "Your people have proven themselves worthy," Zorn rumbled. "The Confederation has decided to accelerate Earth's probationary membership. Your first official mission will be to investigate a series of mysterious signal bursts originating from a distant globular cluster." Before Reeves could respond, alarms blared throughout the conference chamber. Earth's long-range sensors had detected a massive object entering the outer reaches of the solar system. "Initial analysis suggests it could be a dormant precursor ship or station," a technician reported, his voice filled with awe. As Admiral Steele diverted a portion of Earth's fleet to intercept this new arrival, the instabilities in the Nexus Gate network continued to grow. The precursors warned of catastrophic failures in the fabric of space-time if left unchecked. Dr. Marcus Hawthorne, now working alongside precursor and Confederation experts, felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The task before them was monumental: stabilize the gate network or face potentially universe-ending consequences. As humanity stood at the precipice of a new era, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The challenges ahead were unlike anything they had faced before, but the potential rewards were equally staggering. In the vastness of space, Earth's future hung in the balance, awaiting the next move in this cosmic chess game. As humanity stood at the precipice of a new era, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The challenges ahead were unlike anything they had faced before, but the potential rewards were equally staggering. In the vastness of space, Earth's future hung in the balance, awaiting the next move in this cosmic chess match. Rear Admiral Elena Volkov's voice cut through the tension on the bridge of the ESS Horizon. "All ships, maintain safe distance from the Nexus Gate. Prepare for potential gravitational disturbances." No sooner had the words left her mouth than the sensors lit up with warnings. The gate's energy surge intensified, sending out powerful gravitational waves that rippled through the Alpha Centauri system. Volkov watched as the holographic display showed the nearby planets beginning to shift in their orbits. "Science team, I need answers," she demanded, her eyes fixed on the chaotic dance of celestial bodies. "What are we dealing with here?" Dr. Amelia Zhao, the fleet's lead scientist, hunched over her console, fingers flying across the interface. "The gate's instability is causing severe space-time distortions, Admiral. If we don't find a way to stabilize it soon, we could be looking at catastrophic damage to the entire system." Volkov nodded grimly. "Focus all efforts on analyzing the probe data. We need solutions, and we need them fast." As the fleet grappled with the escalating crisis, Captain Marcus Chen piloted his stealth ship towards the artificial structures orbiting Alpha Centauri's second planet. The sleek vessel glided silently through space, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. Chen's co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Foster, leaned forward in her seat. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures from the structures. They're changing." Before Chen could respond, a brilliant flash of light erupted from the nearest structure. A barrage of energy weapons lanced out, narrowly missing the stealth ship's port side. "Evasive maneuvers!" Chen shouted, his hands dancing across the controls. The ship rolled and twisted, narrowly avoiding the sudden onslaught. "Foster, get me everything you can on those defenses. Weaknesses, patterns, anything." As Chen expertly piloted the ship through the deadly field of fire, Foster worked furiously at her station. "Uploading data now, sir. The defense system seems to be automated, possibly dormant for millennia until our approach triggered it." In the asteroid belt of Earth's solar system, The Harmony's massive construction project reached a critical phase. The enormous flower-like array stretched across several kilometers, its biomechanical petals unfurling in the void of space. Dr. Victor Reeves stood transfixed before the observation window of the research station, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," he breathed. His reverie was interrupted by a sudden alarm from the sensor station. One of his assistants called out, "Doctor, we're detecting low-frequency electromagnetic pulses from the structure." Reeves rushed to the console, his heart racing as he analyzed the incoming data. "These pulses, they're resonating with the fluctuations in the Nexus Gate network. This could be the key to understanding the gate instabilities." He immediately opened a channel to Earth. "Admiral Steele, this is Dr. Reeves. We need a specialized task force here immediately. The Harmony's construct could be crucial to solving our gate problem." Admiral Steele's response was swift. "Understood, Doctor. I'm dispatching Commander Sarah Hayes and her team. They'll be there within the hour." As these events unfolded across the solar system, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne stood before a gathering of Earth's top scientists and their alien counterparts. The atmosphere was tense as he prepared to activate the prototype stabilization device. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hawthorne began, his voice steady despite the pressure, "what we're about to attempt could be our best hope for saving the gate network and possibly the entire galaxy." He nodded to his team, and they began the activation sequence. The device hummed to life, generating a shimmering quantum field around the decommissioned swarm ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the ship's unstable energy signature began to even out, its fluctuations diminishing until they nearly flatlined. A cheer went up from the assembled scientists, but Hawthorne remained focused. "It's a good start," he said, "but we've got a long way to go before we can apply this to a full-size gate." In the outer reaches of the solar system, Commodore William Stryker stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the massive precursor station that loomed before them. Its surface was a maze of ancient technology, pitted and scarred by eons adrift in space. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "we're detecting power signatures from the station. It's coming online." Stryker leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "All ships maintain position. Prepare for possible first contact scenarios, but keep weapons hot. We don't know what we're dealing with here." As the station awakened, its vast arrays of sensors and communication devices oriented towards Earth, as if reaching out across the gulf of time to make contact with a new civilization. Aboard the ESS Pathfinder, Captain Jonathan Reed addressed his crew, preparing them for their mission to the swarm's home system. "We're about to embark on the most important exploratory mission in human history," he said, his voice firm. "What we find could change everything we know about the swarm, and possibly the future of our species." The ship's engines flared to life, propelling them towards the unknown reaches of the galaxy, carrying with them the hopes and fears of all humanity. As Earth's forces spread across the stars, grappling with challenges on multiple fronts, the transformed swarm entities known as the Harmony continued their inscrutable work. Their massive construct in the asteroid belt pulsed with energy, each emission sending ripples through the fabric of space-time, hinting at possibilities and dangers beyond human comprehension. The galaxy held its breath, awaiting the outcome of humanity's bold ventures into the cosmic unknown. As Earth's forces spread across the stars, grappling with challenges on multiple fronts, Admiral Marcus Steele stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense platform. His eyes scanned the holographic displays, taking in the myriad crises unfolding across the galaxy. The unstable Nexus Gate in Alpha Centauri, the mysterious precursor station in the outer solar system, the transformed swarm entities known as the Harmony, each posed a unique threat, yet Steele saw the threads connecting them all. "It's time," he said, his voice carrying the weight of command. "Initiate Operation Cosmic Convergence." The command center erupted into activity as Steele's order went out across subspace channels. In the Alpha Centauri system, Rear Admiral Elena Volkov received the transmission and sprang into action. "All ships, reconfigure shields to withstand gravitational waves," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension. "Prepare for close approach to the Nexus Gate." As her fleet moved into position, Volkov led a small team towards the massive pulsing structure of the gate. The gravitational forces grew stronger with each passing moment, threatening to tear their ships apart. "Compensate for gravitational shear," Volkov called out, her hands dancing across the controls. "Maintain formation." The ships pushed forward, their hulls groaning under the immense stress. As they neared the gate, Dr. Hawthorne's prototype quantum field generator hummed to life, its energy interacting with the chaotic forces surrounding them. Meanwhile, in orbit around Alpha Centauri's second planet, Captain Marcus Chen's stealth team prepared for their crucial role in the operation. "Execute cyber attack now," Chen ordered, his fingers flying across the haptic interface. Lieutenant Foster nodded, initiating the carefully crafted assault on the ancient defense systems. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the orbital structure's weapons went dark. "We're in," Foster reported, a note of excitement in her voice. "Accessing databanks now." As information flooded their screens, Chen's eyes widened. "This is incredible. It's not just a defense system. It's an early warning network for something called the Void." Back in Earth's solar system, Commander Sarah Hayes stood before the massive, flower-like array constructed by the Harmony. Her team had worked tirelessly to decipher the strange pulses emitted by the structure. "Initiate communication sequence," Hayes ordered, her voice filled with purpose. The array pulsed with energy, its biomechanical petals shifting and realigning. Suddenly, a stream of data flowed into their systems, resolving into coherent patterns. "We've done it," one of Hayes' team members exclaimed. "We're communicating with the Harmony." As the connection solidified, the Harmony revealed the true purpose of their construct, a cosmic amplifier designed to stabilize the very fabric of space-time. In a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Marcus Hawthorne and his team put the finishing touches on the full-scale quantum field generator. "Integration with the Harmony's array is complete," Hawthorne reported, his voice tight with anticipation. "We're ready for full-scale deployment." As these events unfolded, Commodore William Stryker faced a critical moment in the outer reaches of the solar system. The ancient precursor station had fully activated, revealing a massive energy weapon aimed at the heart of Earth's territory. "All ships, form up," Stryker commanded, his tactical mind racing. "Harmonize shields on my mark." The fleet moved with precision, encircling the station in a complex formation. As they locked into place, their combined shield harmonics created a resonance field that interfaced directly with the station's control systems. "We have control," Stryker's second-in-command reported. "The weapon is ours." In the distant reaches of the galaxy, Captain Jonathan Reed and the crew of the ESS Pathfinder made a startling discovery in the swarm's home system. "My God," Reed whispered, as they surveyed the ruins of an ancient civilization. "This is where it all began." Among the derelict structures in abandoned cities, they found evidence of a catastrophic event, the first incursion of the Void, which had transformed the once peaceful swarm into the terror that had threatened the galaxy. As this crucial information made its way back to Earth, Commander Natalie Hawkins and her team achieved a breakthrough with the advanced swarm neural network. "We've found it," Hawkins announced, her voice filled with awe. "A fail-safe to revert the swarm to its original state." With this knowledge, the Harmony could finally shed the last vestiges of their corrupted programming, fully embracing their new, evolved form. As these pieces fell into place, Grand Admiral Zorn arrived in the solar system, leading a massive Confederation fleet. The combined forces of Earth, the Galactic Confederation, the Precursors, and the Harmony prepared for the final phase of Operation Cosmic Convergence. Admiral Steele's voice rang out across all channels. "All forces, take your positions. Prepare for synchronized activation on my mark." The fleets moved into an intricate interlocking formation around the solar system, creating a vast energy web that connected with the Harmony's amplification array. In the Alpha Centauri system, Rear Admiral Volkov's team stood ready at the unstable Nexus Gate. Commodore Stryker prepared to channel the precursor station's immense power. "Commence Operation Cosmic Convergence," Steele commanded. In that moment, the combined might of multiple civilizations and technologies surged into action. The precursor weapon fired, its energy amplified and distributed through the fleet's energy web. A massive pulse rippled through the galaxy, reinforcing the barriers against the void and restoring balance to the cosmic forces. In Alpha Centauri, Volkov watched in amazement as the volatile Nexus gate suddenly stabilized, its energies now flowing smoothly and safely. Across the galaxy, other gates followed suit, the entire network pulsing with renewed stability. As the energy pulse dissipated, a hush fell over the combined fleets. For a moment, the vastness of space seemed to hold its breath. Then slowly, reports began to flood in from across the galaxy. The Nexus Gate network was stable. The Void's encroachment had been halted. The transformed Harmony was fully integrated into their new role as cosmic custodians. Admiral Steele stood on the bridge of Earth's new flagship, gazing out at the star-studded expanse before him. The immediate crisis had passed, but he knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, forging alliances and overcoming challenges that would have seemed impossible mere years ago. As the fleet regrouped and the various teams began to report in, Steele allowed himself a moment of reflection. The galaxy had changed, and with it, humanity's place in the cosmic order. What new adventures and challenges awaited them in this brave new era? With a slight smile, Steele turned to his bridge crew. "Set a course for the edge of known space," he ordered. "It's time we see what else is out there." The flagship's engines hummed to life, propelling them towards the unknown. As Earth and its allies prepared for a new age of exploration and discovery, the stars seemed to beckon, promising untold wonders and mysteries yet to be unraveled.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.